remained focused on getting to the point where no refurbishment is needed
we are
between any of the
live.
flights.
Yeah, that
Hello,
means
people.
we want to launch it,
Hello, world.
bring it back, look at it, reload propellants, go again. That is
Cape's Lock was
really what's
first.
key. That is what full and
Caps
rapid
lock,
reusability will look like.
And Josh, can you give me a 5x5
We're coming to you today
on
from Star Factory,
my audio
our new
and their
million
audio?
square foot manufacturing
Their
facility in
audio will be
Starbase,
lower
Texas.
than mine.
The
That's
Super
idea.
Heavy booster is the first stage of the Starship launch vehicle stack. It's the largest boost stage ever developed for any rocket ever. Having the largest rocket ever is a very cool engineering feat, but the thing that really makes a difference
Your
is
audio-
the ability
my
to rapidly
audio is a
reuse
bit
that
low.
rocket
Really?
to launch many other missions.
My audio should be
Reflying Booster
my
14
standard
is an
audio.
important
My
first
audio is on
milestone,
max.
and that
Oh,
we
hang
have
on.
proven that we
Come
can
to the door.
recover a vehicle, turn it around, and fly it a second time. But it's not a victory lap yet.
From an operational perspective, an ideal state looks like a vehicle where very few things have to happen on it in order to take back off again. So we catch the vehicle, put it back onto the launch mount, put a new ship back on top with its payload, refuel, and
There's
take
a
back
newbie
off.
guy
That same
picking up my
booster will come back
packages.
to launch mount, and we do the same thing all over again.
Sounds good. Yeah, my audio
Falcon,
should
you know,
not be low.
reusing
My
at a
audio
pretty
is
high rate, and we get
standard.
to go look at them and say,
And it's
what did
maxed
you
out,
learn? What is good?
actually.
What is bad? And as we continue to build the Starship process,
Zero-touch refurbishment really looks like a commercial airliner. The advantage
So
we
if
have
my
on
audio's
Booster
low, it's going to
relative
be
to
your
when
end.
we developed Falcon
Basically,
9,
we
for
want a
instance,
differential.
is this was really designed
How's my
from the
audio
outset
compared with
for
yours?
rapid
Sounds good.
reusability.
We're using all of the
Their
flight test
audio is
learnings
louder
from our
than mine.
version 1 and version 2 vehicles
Really?
in our orbital flight test campaign to inform
Their
the
audio is
design
louder
of our
than
version
mine.
3 vehicle.
Okay.
The next generation vehicle will be the first time that we've really attempted
Their audio should
to
be
make
lower now.
rapidly reusable thermal protection on a rocket.
Check.
In the next
Check.
iteration, we'll be able to add in new innovative materials and regenerative
It's only low compared to
cooling
those.
that will
Okay, so
enable
their one was high.
rapid,
All right.
zero-touch refurbishment.
Right.
Rapid
It's better now.
reusability,
All
the
right.
ability to fly, turn the vehicle around. and
Yeah, I
refly
want my
again immediately
audio to be
is
louder
really
than
the
theirs,
key
but
goal of the
theirs
Starship
still
program.
audible. So that's the idea. Otherwise, my commentary doesn't come
It
through.
is so cool to
And
see our teams working together.
we
as
have our
Starship is
two
learning from
back
Falcon
again.
with
Was it Dan?
reusability, and now we're
I think his
seeing
name is. Is it
Starship
Dan?
do the same thing today.
I don't remember
so
her
all
name.
Eyes on the rocket on the pad, getting ready to launch in just about 17 minutes from
So
now.
it sounds good.
That's right.
Does anyone have an update?
Looking at our levels real
That's
quick,
better.
we're a little bit more
Thank
than
you.
halfway
Perfect.
full on
Excellent.
fuel and locks on the booster. Over 80%
Hey, Ian Scott
full
Johnson's
on
in the
ship.
house.
Still have to fill those header tanks. But
Fellow
everything looking
YouTuber.
good. We're not tracking any issues on the range. As a reminder, we watch
No
sea
issues?
stage, air,
No range issues?
and land around the launch site here, and
That
also
means,
over
like,
in the Indian Ocean, where
dumbass
we're gonna be
boats out
doing our
there
re-entry,
and
not tracking any
planes
blockers
and
to
whatnot.
launch at the moment. Weather is gorgeous, has not been a concern.
Wow,
all
yeah,
day
that
for
is. Look
launch.
at the weather.
We've been moving through all of our pre-flight checkouts pretty smoothly so far this morning, getting the ship and the booster ready for prop load, making sure guidance, navigation, and control are aligned. Everything's ready to go. You can see
Great.
with the frost coming off, we're getting pretty full.
Get your
We
ass to
started
Mars.
loading,
I've got my Get to Mars
all
to
of
Mars
the
t-shirt.
propellants on
Get
board
your
both
ass to
ships
Mars
about
t-shirt.
45 minutes or so
Buzz
before
Aldrin's
launch.
t-shirt.
They kind of
I've got
stagger
one.
where we start with
Didn't
ship
wear it.
and then move
I'm
into
wearing a
booster. We're
Toto
gonna
t-shirt
continue
today.
loading these
There you
propellants
go,
on
Toto.
board until just about 3 minutes before lift.
Hands up for
We'll
your
close
Toto
out on the ship
fan.
first, and then on the booster. But bottom line, everything's looking great.
There was nothing
Not
wrong with
tracking
it.
Any vehicle issues, range issues, weather
I love
issues.
the audio.
We're looking really good right now for a launch at the top of our
Okay,
window
they've got
right
no
at
issues
6:30 p.m.
whatsoever.
Central.
30 k's an hour
Seeing
wind.
the
That's
propellant
pretty
loading
strong.
is making this getting
But when you got a rocket, I
more
guess
and
it
more
doesn't matter.
exciting. Today is going to be a wild ride for Super Heavy. We're putting the
Hey,
booster
Dolby
through
from
several
Canada.
tests to expand the envelope on its capabilities and get flight data to make its return and catch more reliable.
Caps
Now,
lock,
another
as a
unique
fan.
change in today's flight will be the addition of the first ever directional flip of the booster.
That's right. If
First
you
ever
followed
directional
previous
flip.
flights and you
I
kinda
love how
wondered
it's
to
just
yourself,
Vince.
why does the direction of the booster flip seem random? Surprise, it's because it was. We've got a couple of views from previous
Did
flights.
you say
where
the
you'll
flip
see
used to be
the
random?
booster kind of go in different directions, and it was really small differences in the thrust of those ship engines. As they started up, they would nudge the booster in an initial direction, and so the booster would essentially
Right.
sense that and then lean into it, and it'll react, the engines will gimbal, and then it'll continue the flip. That was the easiest option technically, but you do take some performance hits. And
Right,
you're
they did it 'cause it was easy.
propellant to accommodate every single direction for a flip.
Ah,
Exactly,
you
but
need
if we
more,
know
more
which direction
propellant.
we're flipping, then we know how much
Interesting.
propellant we will need and can instead use more of the propellant to burn longer during ascent,
Ah,
adding more
interesting.
velocity to ship and increasing how much payload it can ultimately deliver to space.
Yeah, so today I got my trusty Super Heavy here. We're going to intentionally try to flip straight up. So again, as you're separating from the ship, we want to get to here as you're doing that boost back burn. The fastest way is to just flip straight up and go into it. That's roughly what we did on Flight 5. It's the most direct way to get into that orientation.
So
for the
you
boost
have
back
to
burn.
control the
What
roll
you
as
don't
it
want to
flips?
do is when you flip all the way down like that. We did that on Flight 7.
Oh,
it
they
takes you in a
flipped.
big loop, uses the most amount of prop. Not efficient. We're at the point where we want to start kind of tuning it in and getting some extra performance out of the
Damn.
booster.
Yeah, exactly. That's called optimization.
That's right.
To accomplish this, we made some changes to the hot stage adapter, welding reinforced panels over the vents in the direction that we want the booster to go. So when the ship
Almost
engines
500,000
ignite,
viewers
the thrust
watching.
will push against the blocked vents, which means that the nudge will be in the direction that we planned for.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
when we go to the
Lamb,
next
I'm not
generation of
bothered
ship and
by
booster, we
the
plan to
booster
control the
either.
flip
The
direction by
booster's done.
fine-tuning the engine
The
startup
booster's
sequence on the ship.
like it's
Yeah,
totally
and that's
done.
not
What they've
the only
landed it
flight experiment
2
that
or
we have
3
planned for
times.
the booster today. We're not attempting
I
to
forget
catch,
now.
so
So
we're
2
gonna
or
try
3
and gather
tower
additional data
catches.
that's gonna
But
improve
yeah,
performance on
they've
future boosters.
dialed
We're
that
also gonna
in.
try
By
and
the
see
way,
how
there will not
resilient
be
we
a
are.
tower
Things
catch
like
today.
losing an engine
They're going to
during the
land
landing
it,
burn.
deliberately
By
land it
sending
in the
booster out to
ocean because
sea,
this is
we're
a
able to do these
reused
higher risk
booster.
tests without
It's
risking the launch
reused. So
pad.
this is the
As
first
you might
time
have
they're
heard earlier, we're gonna be doing
reusing
what's called
the
a higher
booster. This
angle
is
of
the one
attack.
that landed
Basically, instead
last
of coming
time.
straight
It's the
down,
same
we're gonna
booster.
tilt up a little bit.
So
That
that's
gets you more
incredible.
drag on the
That's
booster.
incredible.
You're able
So
to use just
I guess they're
aerodynamic forces
determined
to
it
slow
doesn't
you
add
down. The slower
much
you're
of
going
a
at the start of that
risk.
landing burn, the less
So-
propellant you need.
But they will
Because
control
really you're just
land it
focused
on
on
the
slowing
ocean.
down
So
as much as
presumably
humanly
there'll be a
possible when
footy
you fire
camera
that
out
up.
there
So by
because they know
already going a
exactly
little
where it's
bit
going to
slower,
land
we'll get
within
some
the
benefits to
centimeter
our
or
performance
2,
and our
5
reliability on
centimeters or
those
something.
burns.
Yeah, exactly. And there's
So
definite
yeah, it's all about
uncertainty
Starship.
in how well the
Boosters-
booster's grid fins and structure
you
will
could
be
put
able to
paying
control its
payloads
flight
on
when
the
we
booster
get
right
into
now
higher angles. So don't be
and put
surprised
stuff
if
up.
it isn't a smooth descent for the booster down to its
It's-
splashdown point today. The most important objective of this portion of the test will be getting actual flight data to help anchor our models. Now we're hoping to fly the next generation of super heavy boosters at even higher angles of attack. So this test today will give us a better
Right.
idea of what is feasible. Now on top of all of this, we're going to see
Yeah, no,
how
it's all about
resilient
Starship.
super heavy is to
Yeah,
engine
I agree.
failures at the most
Tweaking the
critical
booster,
times.
great.
We're going to
But-
intentionally disable one of those 3 center engines and instead
Oh.
use an engine from the middle ring that's kind of right behind it. Those center engines are what we nominally use at the very last
They're gonna
part of a landing
deliberately
burn,
disable
just
an
kind
engine?
of fine-tuning the booster's path into those waiting chopstick arms. This is going to act as a real-world simulation of a pretty scary situation where engines are not starting at the probably the worst possible
that's why they're
time,
doing it over
but
the
we're gonna do
ocean because
this
they don't
without
want to
risking
destroy the
pad.
stand because they're doing
And
a
then,
test.
At the very end of the landing burn, we're going to cut one more engine off and go down to only those 2 center engines.
Right.
The burn
So they want
is
to
going
simulate
end
an
while
engine
Super
failure,
Heavy
and
is
they
still
don't want to do
several
that on the
hundred
test
feet
stand.
above the Gulf. So we
Interesting.
expect it to make a pretty hard splashdown today. So
Maybe they
in all,
figured they weren't
pretty
going to
eventful day
reuse
for
this
the
booster anyway after the
And
second
as many
flight.
of you may know, water landings are actually
So,
uncommon for SpaceX.
why not
While
do a
other
test
launch
with-
providers
makes
extend
sense,
all of
I
their
guess.
boosters after flight, we land and reuse most of ours. All of these
It's
tests
one
are
way
going
to deal
help
with
us
absolute
improve
booster
future
inventory.
generations
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
Super Heavy
totally.
until we reach reusable
Yeah,
and
crazy how just a
reliable rocket.
few years ago would have been
All right,
unthinkable.
let's check
Yeah,
back in
now it's
with
mainstream.
Chris in Hawthorne. How's it going, Chris?
This thing would land
Hey,
with
Jesse,
95%
my
certainty.
colleagues here in Hawthorne
on the
definitely
tower.
agree with you. We can't wait to see the Super
It's even
Heavy
higher
perform
than that
its
now
second
after the number of
flight and
flights.
see
I don't know.
all of the work from our
Any
thousands
stats
of engineers
nerds
and
out there wanna-
technicians in action too.
Want to have a
Now,
shot at
while this reuse
how
milestone
reliable
is
the booster is?
incredibly important for Starship's development, Super Heavy boosters are not the only vehicles that we reuse here at SpaceX. We're big on reuse, and our Dragon fleet is another example of that reuse. And we actually control those Dragon missions from right here in Hawthorne in the mission control room that we talked about a little bit earlier. For Dragon and our human spaceflight program, this month also marks a big milestone for SpaceX, our
having a
5-year
drink.
anniversary of human
This morning?
spaceflight.
One
Now,
second.
NASA astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley got us started back on Demo 2, which was notable for being the first time since the retirement of the shuttle program in 2011 that people launched to orbit from U.S. soil. Now, in those
It's amazing
5 years, we
how
have launched
routine
17 human
Dragon
spaceflight
is. It's
missions,
just,
11 for
I
NASA,
mean,
and
Falcon
6
9
commercial
and
missions,
Dragon too.
including Polaris
Falcon
Dawn,
9 and
with our
Dragon.
first commercial spacewalk
It's
in
just,
history.
no one
and
even thinks
Prom
about
2
it anymore.
earlier this year,
And
which
Falcon
became the
9's
first
going up
human
like, what,
spaceflight
one
mission
every day?
ever
One
to
every
explore
second
Earth's
day?
polar regions.
It's crazy.
We've flown a total of 66 crew.
At one
in
point,
those
they
5
flew
years, and we are
3 in a
expecting that
day.
number to grow significantly in the coming
It's nuts.
years. Now, most recently,
Oh, that
on our
includes
Prom 2
Starship. There were
mission, the
3
crew offered
SpaceX
unique
launches in a
glimpses
day.
into the orbital spaceflight
Mad.
experience. And this was honestly just
Yeah.
so cool to
Yeah,
see. Thank
same
you
here,
to our
Lam.
Starlink
Yeah.
teams for making
They
everything
need
with
to. The
Prom 2
problem
crew
is
shared possible.
is that
This
Starship is
honestly made me
supposed to
feel
be.
like I was right there
Well,
with
the
them
problem
in
is Starship
Dragon.
is
They
a
were
jack of
living,
all
they were
trades,
working, they
masters
were
of none.
relaxing, they were
But
doing their experiments while
what
also
NASA's
having
paying
fun, basically
SpaceX for
just being
is
people and
for
inviting us
Starship to
along
be
for
the
the ride,
human
and that
landing
was
system
really meaningful.
for Artemis
Being
to
invited
land on
up
the
there
freaking
really showed
moon,
how these are
and we have
just
not
the early
seen
days on the road to
anything
making
in
life
that regard.
multiplanetary.
We've seen
And the
nothing
vehicle that's going to make all of
that
happen
even makes it
is
a human
Starship.
landing
And
system.
Dan and Jesse,
Nothing
I
at
don't know
all.
about you, but that is definitely a future I
It's
have wanted
mad.
since I was a
So,
little kid,
does
and
anyone
I
know?
cannot
Sorry,
wait
I
to
didn't
see us make it a reality.
have time to do research. Does anyone
Yeah,
know
right there with
what
you, Chris.
the
The fact that we're getting close to that being reality, that the vehicle that's going to go is sitting on the pad right there. Like,
yeah, I
that's
agree, Opto
endlessly
isolated.
exciting.
They know they can
All
do
of
the
that's
top
gonna
chopstick
include
catch.
sending
That's just like
humans,
100%
all the
given.
infrastructure
So it's
for
definitely time
permanent
to try
presence
something new and
on
get more
Mars.
data. Yeah,
And
yeah. So
we're
I figured that they
looking
weren't
ahead
going to
sending the
reuse this
very
booster
first
anyway, like a
Starships to
third time.
Mars as early as next year.
They probably weren't going to
Yeah,
risk
this
that,
will
so they
help
went,
prove
well,
that we can
let's
actually get to
do
Mars
some
with focus
experiments
on
with it
learning
over
as
the
much as
ocean
possible while
and
demonstrating what will be
shut
needed
down some
for Mars
engines and
transit
simulate an
landing.
engine failure.
But before we can
And
make
yeah,
life
it's great.
multiplanetary,
Okay.
we have to
That's
build
cool.
the starships that will make
Yes.
this all possible.
That's right.
Yes,
and that's
Starship- it's all about
happening
Starship.
Right here, Starbase, Texas.
Does anyone know
gateway to
what their
Mars.
what
This
the
is where
goal
we're
for
soon gonna be
Starship
launching
is
up to
in this test?
25
We've already
Starship
talked about
launches
the
per
booster.
year
What is the
from
goal
here
for
at
Starship?
Starbase, and the place is
I know. I
changing
think I
every
do. I
single
heard
day.
they were
We've
loading it
grown
up
quite
with
a bit just in the last
simulated
couple of years. There's a couple hundred employees, their
Starlink
families living
satellites.
amongst
So hopefully they
actual
get to
rockets.
they get
We're in
up
the
there and use the
process of
Pez dispenser. It's
expanding
not going to
production and
orbit, right?
integration. We've
I
got a
don't think that.
target
Are
of
they doing
1,000
orbit again?
starships a
I don't
year
think
we're
so.
gonna try to hit.
But can
And
somebody
recently, we did become a city
confirm?
of our own. We're the first city in Cameron County in
Program's
30
all
years,
but cancelled
and
now,
that's
but
just gonna
yeah,
help
they
us
are still running
scale more
Artemis
quickly,
3.
try to build
They are
out
still
the
running
best
Artemis
community
3,
possible
so-
for all the people that are building the future of
Does anyone know?
humanity's place
And
in space.
the
Starbase,
Blue
pretty
Origin
easily
are
one of the
going to
most
land. They're going to
inspiring,
attempt to
exciting,
land
unique
this
places
year
to live and work
with
on the
their
planet.
not human
As
landing
usual,
system, but
shameless
their
plug,
Mark 1
we're
lander.
always hiring. Keep,
That's absolutely
come help us
fantastic.
build the
And
gateway to
Starship,
Mars.
they're going to
Visit
beat
SpaceX.com/careers.
Blue Origin are going to
You
beat
can see all of our
SpaceX
openings.
to.
And this is my first
The
time
moon.
in
It's
Starbase,
nuts.
and Dan, the Star Factory
there's no
is a
way Starship's
manufacturing
gonna
engineer's
beat it.
dream. To be able to build a factory like this at such
Yeah,
a
and
large
Starship
scale
was
with
going to
such
be
a
the
large
human
scale
landing system, which
vehicle
always
is
gave me the
so
freaking
wild to me.
heebie-jeebies.
And
Landing
no,
that
I'm just
huge
visiting.
vertical
Chris is hanging
thing
out
on some
right
little
where I
pissant
call
feet.
home base.
No.
So let's check back in with Chris in Hawthorne.
It's bad.
Thing.
Anyway,
Thanks,
no,
Jesse.
it's
Yeah,
not going to
everything
orbit.
here in
No.
Hawthorne's looking good. The
Orbital
crowd is
energy, but
gathered,
not orbital
really excited to watch the
trajectory.
hard work
Okay.
of all of
Yeah,
their colleagues
yeah, I
come
thought
to
they weren't going to
fruition here
orbit,
for
but they
Starship
will
on its
be
ninth flight
deploying.
test. Not
But
tracking any
so I
issues.
assume
we are excited to watch Starship
profile
do
will
its
be,
thing today, make it halfway around the world and test a lot of those
halfway
critical
around the
in-space,
world. Yep. So they'll be
maneuvers
going
and
halfway.
operations that will be vital for the
They will be
program's
deploying some Starlink
continued
test dummy
operations.
satellites.
So Dan and Jesse,
And,
we can't wait for liftoff.
They
Let's,
will be
let's have a
landing
good
it,
flight
going
today.
back through the atmosphere and control landing
Thanks,
that
Chris.
on the ocean.
Now, if you're
Right?
just now joining us,
So Starship
where
will
have
go
you
in the
been?
ocean too.
But we're glad that
It's
you're
like-
joining us now. We are at T-minus just under 6 minutes
I'm sorry,
until liftoff
but
of
you've
the
got to go
ninth
for broke with
Starship
this
test
now.
flight.
It's
So far,
just
the
getting silly.
range is looking
It's
good.
just getting like people are getting
all
fed
the
up.
airspace and
with it.
trajectory area that
You've
we
gotta-
are going to be
You've got to
launching
like land
through
Starship
is
back on a
looking
pad.
good
You've
for,
got you've got to get to
test flight
orbit.
today.
B, you've got to
Weather has been great. It was a little rainy and windy this morning, but it
get
cleared up.
Starship
it looks
back to a
beautiful
pad.
here in Starbase. And
if
propellant
anything,
loading
just I
continues
know
on
it's
both
technically no
stages.
different to
All right,
land it
yeah,
on the
it is
ocean, but
continuing.
you've just
We're
got to
a
do
little
it
over
for
90% full on our booster.
publicity
We
reasons to
are
get
pretty
the
much
people
full in the
back on
main
your
tanks on
side,
ship, filling up
because
those header
they're,
tanks.
SpaceX
We're gonna
is
continue
copping a
loading
lot of
prop for
flack
about 2 more
over
minutes.
Starship.
Once
The
we're
fact
done with
that it hasn't gotten to
you've got
orbit yet.
just under 11
A,
million
it's not
pounds
gotten,
of liquid
hasn't gotten to
propellant.
orbit. it in,
spread
9
across
test
those
flights.
2 stages.
And
After we get through all of that prop load, our
hasn't landed
stage 0
anywhere.
will get
Well,
ready.
it's
The
landed
ground
on the
systems
ocean.
will
They
go
have done
through
a controlled
pushbacks,
Starship
clearing
landing
all
on
of
the
those
ocean,
fluid feed lines
but
back
it
to the
barely made it
propellant farm, getting
through
ready
the
for
atmosphere.
launch.
So they
we
haven't
did just see they did a
nailed
flap
the
wiggles
atmospheric
check,
thing
so the
yet.
final flap check on the ship.
But you think
We're
they'd at
doing
least
final
nail the
alignments of
orbit
guidance,
thing.
navigation and control system.
They've
our
got the
thrust
propellant,
vector
they've
control,
got the
essentially our
boost
steering,
in to do it.
check out to the flight
put the
safety
damn thing in
system.
orbit.
So everything progressing right now. If we do need to
Unbelievable.
hold,
Yeah,
that can
I know
come
there's a
at
risk
T-minus
to,
40 seconds. That's a point built into the countdown
not having a
where we
controlled
can
re-entry
pause
and
to
all
wait
that sort
for
of
any
stuff,
final
you know.
checkouts,
But
pressurizations, anything that we need to complete.
you got to take
we
your
can hold
chances.
there. We will only hold there if we're tracking an issue. We're not currently tracking
And
anything.
SpaceX is
that will hold
famous
us
for
at
taking their
T-minus 40
chances.
seconds.
And if
But
you're going to do
you've seen a
that,
Starship launch before, they
then
can happen.
make
we can
it
push through them and then
palatable
launch
to the
that day
public
still.
by getting to orbit.
Exactly, but when we do pass
So
through
all the critics of SpaceX are going, oh, they can't even get to orbit. Can't even get to orbit.
Succession. The ground spin and ignition
After the ninth
systems
flight,
come up to flight pressure.
Artemis
Ship
makes it
goes
around the
to
moon on the
internal
first
power,
flight,
and
you
then
know,
after that,
and
the
all
quick
that.
disconnect or QD,
Which is
our
not
lockout
apples
is
to
removed in
oranges,
preparation for retraction
which is not apples
just
to
shortly
apples
after
comparison,
T-minus
but
0. And once we pass T-minus 40 seconds, we do
that's what
still
people are
have the
saying.
ability to
So-
recycle the count under certain
Yep.
conditions.
Oh, 3
back
minutes
to
left.
T-minus 40 seconds, and then hold there to assess what
So
happened.
yeah, I
and
reckon.
see if we can
So
proceed again
odds
back
of
down
this
to
one.
T0.
Leave your odds in the
There are a
comment
couple
down
of
below.
things, kind of gates in that timeline.
You
that if
watch
we pass
Neil and
through
Buzz
that,
land on the
and we
moon
hit
when
a
you're
hold, we'd have to
11.
scrub for the day.
Oh,
One pretty
the
visual
lamb.
one will be if the
Yeah,
water starts
I wish I
flowing
was
for
there,
that
but I was
deflector
not.
system
I'm
that's
I'm
underneath the
old,
launch
but I'm
mount.
not that
happens
old.
Right around T-minus 10 seconds. For flowing water, we
So,
can't turn it
unfortunately,
off after it starts,
yeah.
and if we hit a hold, we're scrubbed for the day. We need to refill those water tanks. We would
Yeah,
also, at that point, need to
they
refill all
they're
of
just
the
not
propellant
focusing on the
tanks.
moon.
It's
Yeah,
11
designed for
million
one-way
pounds
trip to
of
Mars.
propellant.
Yeah,
It's a whole
Elon's so
lot.
obsessed with
We
freaking
typically
Mars
do that in about
that he's
24
forgetting.
hours, so we can always
He's,
turn around
he's forgetting
to
the
try
thing
again
that can
tomorrow. But
keep the
we are
company
coming
going.
up on
Which
3
well, the
minutes
company's going to
away
keep going,
from
but you know,
liftoff.
keep the Starship
We
program
should be
going, which is
hearing
bloody
that we're
the
closed
moon.
out of prop load on the ship at this
Right.
point. Booster coming up shortly.
Anyway, 2 minutes 50.
Wow,
And
the weather.
all
just
indications
looks
are good. Look at that.
amazing
These shots are
there with
great.
Starship on the
And
launch
they're streaming
pad.
in 4K now, so
Just
apparently.
about 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
Oh. View on X. No, I goofed it. Sorry. Apparently it's 4K
on flight
now.
7 and just turned
Yeah, it's
around
4K.
in 2 flights, which is pretty incredible. I'm
And
super excited
but
to
I'm only
see
streaming
that booster
in
fly again.
1080p. Sorry.
All right, we
So-
did just hear we are going to hold at T-minus 40
Oh,
seconds.
no! Oh, just T-minus 40. It's
we'll
normal.
Pass
That's-
along
that's normal.
some more information once we hear that reason. But
Oh,
again,
no?
that's
I thought that
not
was
the
normal.
end of the day. We can hold at T-minus 40 seconds
Yes.
for quite a few minutes. We eventually
40
have to
is the
start
designated
looking
hold
at
time.
our temperature of all of our
So they-
propellant on board. That's usually what drives us to if we've held too long.
So
we
yeah,
have
I
to
reckon
stand
even
down
though
for
this
the
is a
day.
reused
So we are
reused
expecting
booster,
a
I reckon the
hold
booster
at
will.
T-minus
I'm
40 seconds.
90.
Sounds like we're
I
gonna be
say
doing
I'll
some
get
additional
95%
checkouts on
confident.
The booster,
The
Raptor
booster
while
will
we're at that
come back
40
and
second
it'll
mark.
do perfectly
So
controlled landing.
we
But
will
they are
expect to
doing
see
those
the
engines
clock
tests.
pause at
Okay, so
T-minus
you've got to
40.
take that into account.
And then
But
again, we've
apart
got a
from
couple
that,
of minutes. They can work
I'm
through the issues. If
95%
we're able to
confident
clear
at
them,
least the
we can
booster's
still
going to do
launch
its
today.
thing.
If it's
Boost
something
up,
that we
it'll
can't,
come back,
we can
it'll
always
do
stand
control
down,
precision
turn
thing.
around, recycle,
But the
fly
last
again
minute,
tomorrow.
they're deliberately shutting off the
Again,
engines
that's really
to do
important. This is what terminal count is
do
exactly
controlled
for, is to
tests.
be
So that's
checking
risky.
the vehicle, monitoring
So-
the vehicle systems
Yeah.
as it makes its
But
way down
Starship,
to T0.
I don't know.
And again, this gives us the
Starship's still like a
ability to catch
50-50.
anything and be
It's a
able to
coin
hold,
flip,
as Dan has been
whether or
saying,
not
and recycle if we
it
need to,
doesn't blow
or
up,
pause so that we can
and whether or
work
not
through
it
those
makes it
issues
back
and see if
through
it's
the
something that we
atmosphere.
need
But
to stand down for.
I'm more confident
And as
than not.
Dan mentioned, we
I'm
will
more
be holding
confident
at
than
T-minus
not.
40
So it's better
seconds,
than
so in about 20
50-50
seconds
for me.
from
I'm going to go
Yeah, so we'll hold
65%
there, and they'll
that
work
Starship's going to
through
be
these
successful
final checkouts
and do its
on-
entire. And it's
sounds
going
like
to
just one of those
deploy the
Raptors
PESI.
on the
It's going to use
first
the
stage
PES
on
dispenser
Super
to
Heavy,
deploy the satellites.
which, as you said,
we're about to go
we
into
flying it
hold,
for the first time.
and then
29
it
of
will
those 33 engines
look
have
at that.
already been
Gorgeous
used in a
shots.
launch. One of which has already
So yeah, we're
launched
holding at 40.
Twice, and
twice.
we'll go for
They're just
Is
doing
getting
some
ready
extra
for his
checks.
Third
All right,
time.
and you just
But they
heard
can
our flight
hold here
director
for
the
some
day,
time.
Joe Sliker.
And it
he
doesn't
just
interrupt
shared
the-
that we are going to hold at this T-minus 40-second mark. Keep an eye on one of those Raptor engines on
Come
booster.
on, light this candle. So yeah, probably 65% confident on Starship, 95% confident on the booster. I did like, was it Everyday Astronauts? Or no, Scott Manley. It was Scott Manley's idea to get back to the moon using the super heavy booster here, and
if you're
to
just now
redesign like
jumping in, we
a
are
Starship
holding
upper
still at
stage
T-minus 40
to
seconds.
do the
Watching one
to
engine,
do a
waiting
Apollo
for
style
temperatures to
moon mission.
kinda
I'm
get
all for
to
that.
A zone that we
I'm
want
all
them
for that.
to on one of the engines on the booster, on the super heavy
We just
booster,
need to get back to the moon.
getting ready
Other's China's going to get there
for
first.
its
It needs to be a
second ever
space race.
flight.
It needs to be another moon race. And the best way to do that is to how we did it with
We'll just
Apollo.
continue to hold. Again, we can
Like,
hang out here
yeah,
for several
okay,
minutes.
if you can eventually get Starship working, the
we
in-flight
held
refueling,
for
and you get a dozen
a
flights
while
up to get
on the
enough
first
fuel
attempt
to then
last
get to the
time,
moon,
and then cleared
and
it,
even
and
if
then
you
we
can
triggered a
land this
different
thing on the
issue on the
moon
ground
without it
side.
falling over and exploding,
But again, this
then,
is exactly what it's for. This gives
yeah,
us the best
okay,
chances
it's
at
great.
success.
You can get 100 tons to the
And
moon
the
or
clock is
something.
rolling.
Fantastic.
There we go.
But
All right.
oh yeah, we're going. Here we go.
T-minus 30. Let's listen in. Watch that first flight proving
Yeah, Apollo
super
isn't a
heavy.
bad thing to follow,
Get
I
ready
agree.
to take off from Starbase.
Opto isolators 75%. Someone says 85% boom. Here we go.
T-minus. Delta 1. Hit all.
Here we go. So we've got all the engines. We're looking at the left side view. There's another one under my head, so I'll move my head shortly.
did have a
well, yeah,
hold.
actually. Oh,
And it
hold?
looks like
What?
The clock jumped back to
Oh, jump back. Oh,
T-minus
damn it.
40 seconds.
Why?
All right, so we jumped out.
Uh-oh.
I did not see the deflector go off. So hopefully we were right at around that T-minus 10-second mark.
And if we were before that
the
T-minus 10
deflector? Is that
second
the
mark,
flame
we do have the
deflector
ability
or whatever?
to recycle, as we mentioned earlier, back to T-minus 40 seconds.
Okay. So the recycle back to 40, that's just part of the
So it looked like this time it was
onboard
a ground
computer
side issue. We're taking
thing.
a look at this real quick. So again, we're back at T-minus 40. We're gonna hold for a little bit. We are still not scrubbed for the day. Give them a couple of minutes to work through
Come
this.
on.
Again, we can hang out at T-minus 40 for several minutes. Eventually, we start looking at your bulk temperatures and all of your propellant on board the vehicle. We're not actively replenishing
rocket science,
the
folks.
propellant on board Super Heavy and Starship. And so you don't have essentially forever to hang out.
I mean, there's so
before
many
things
bloody
start to
systems
warm
on
up,
this thing.
And you do want to make
And
sure
all
your
the
temperatures
all
in
the
a really
cryo stuff
stable
and
range
everything
for
else.
a healthy startup
It's
on
just-
Raptor engines.
It's
So
just mad.
they're going to work through this issue.
How complicated
Continue to
all
hold
this
here
is.
for a couple of minutes.
Oh.
What's launch without a little extra added
Computer says
excitement?
no. Yeah, I don't know if that's an automatic thing or whether or not that was a manual. No, I don't. I'm reasonably confident Starship's not going to blow up in this one. I think we're going to re-enter the atmosphere.
All right, so
That's what
cumulatively we've
I
held
reckon
for
they
a
would have
little over
fixed
3 minutes
that,
between
because
the
I think
two
they know
holds.
exactly what it was.
Again, this is a ground side issue on our
Oh, come on.
tower. The techs are looking through the data right now to see if it's something that we can either work through
Or
if it
ignore.
would cause us to have to stand down. So we're
Press the
continuing
go
to hang
button.
out with
Light
them,
this candle. Come on.
holding at T-minus 40.
Thank you very much, Gusto. Very generous donation. Off-topic question. What do you think?
If you're just joining us, we
think
did
Inc.
initially hold at T-minus 40
Well, what do you think
seconds.
of
We
an
continued
Inspectus
the count,
C12 all-in-one digital
but
microscope
recycled
as an
before we got
alternative to the
T-minus
Tagano
10
Zip?
seconds.
Inspectus.
So we're back at a hold
Ooh, I
at
don't have
T-minus
it here.
40 seconds.
Um,
Waiting for more information.
I think
The team is checking out
Inspectus is the one that
to see if we can continue today.
Inspectus C12. Yeah, yes, the Inspectus. Yes, I was talking to Inspectus, I think. I was talking to Inspectus, and let me...
And we're continuing to
Yes,
hold
I was
here at
talking to
T-minus 40
Inspectus
seconds.
about...
We've been holding for just
possibly,
about 5 minutes now. as the teams evaluate if
Yes,
we can
yes, I
continue
was.
to T0
I was
for
talking
Flight
to
9.
inspectors about possibly replacing my Tigano Zip with a 4K version, and they seemed all keen. And then
All right, so it
I
sounds
haven't
like
heard
we're
back from
coming
them.
to a
So yeah, the
resolution.
inspectors ones are top notch. The inspectors ones are top notch. So yes, is the answer to that if you can afford it. But I guess you wouldn't be asking the question if you couldn't, if you were thinking about the Zip. Yes, yes. So the inspectors ones, yes, they look really schmick. They look better. I have played with one. They're awesome.
All right, so we are.
But
we
yeah,
are
I was
getting
hoping to
a
get one.
resolution. We're gonna reset everything.
Gonna reset everything. So yes, getting inspectors. The Tiganos are great too, but they didn't have they didn't want to give me a 4K. They didn't want to upgrade mine to a 4K. And I use it in, 30% of my videos or something. I don't know. I use it in a lot of my videos.
All
And
right,
they
so
just
we're
went,
gonna
"No,
see the clock.
We have
It
no
is
interest in
now
upgrading it to a
rolling.
4K. Sorry. I went,
we go.
okay.
We essentially
Oh,
we saw
oh,
an issue with
we're
that
going.
quick disconnect. to
We're
the
going,
ship.
yes.
There is a chance that automation will kick us out again if we encounter
No.
the same issue. But for now,
Here we
the
go.
clock is rolling. We'll see if we pass around that T-minus 10-second mark.
Where's the data at the bottom of the screen? Are you going to put the data back up? 10, 9, 10. Yes, yes, yes. They're going for it. You can't stop it now, I don't think. Yep, yep. All engines lit. All engines lit. Please leave the tower. Whoa, it's so slow getting off the tower. It's so slow. All engines still lit. Flamey end down, pointy end up. Wow. Yeah, they've nailed the booster. I can't believe the booster is so good. My God. It's so good. It's incredible. Look at how fast it's going through that fuel. Wow. Wow. Yeah, the boost. And remember, this is a reused booster. This is the same booster that landed on the chopsticks last time.
We see 33 out of 33 Raptor engines lit
33 engines.
on Super Heavy as it starts to ascend skyward.
Incredible. I love the exposure shots they get. It's just great. Wow.
Coming up on maximum aerodynamic pressure, then only about
Wow.
a minute and a half until we
Max
get into
Q.
hot staging.
No worries,
Wow,
Team
Dan,
Vid.
that was incredible.
Wow.
We can
Look at that
feel
shot.
the building shaking here. Feel the.
I'd
the
love to be
vehicle's
able to launch
power.
for one of these super heavy boosters.
Now we're just about a minute away from shutting
Man.
down those engines on the booster. Again, this booster is flying for its second time today.
Yep. This is a reused booster
All right, so
with
hot staging
33
coming up.
engines.
A little under a minute.
People don't like
We're going to see all but the 3 center
the
engines
people who
turn off on the
are,
booster.
you know,
So our version of Miko, most
smashing
engines cut off, and
SpaceX
then
over
just a few
this.
seconds later,
They
hoping to
just
see
don't
6
realize
engines
how
ignite
incredible
on
that
ship
is.
to push it away.
How incredible this booster is. It's just unbelievable. You can say what you want about Starship and how it's a jack of all trades. I've been saying that forever. Master
All right,
of
hot
none.
staging, about 30
and
seconds.
the obsession with Mars, which I don't mind, but you've got to keep the eyes on the prize, which is the moon.
And definitely keep an eye on which way the booster flips. First ever
Yes,
directional flip
so they're
we're going
doing
for
the-
today should flip straight up.
Whoa! Almost out of fuel. Wow!
See those engines powering
Stage
down?
separation's coming up. There it is.
Booster engine cut off.
Cut off. 3 engines in the middle. Perfect.
Ship ignition. Stage separation.
And it's flipping back. That looks correct, right?
Incredible flip by
Yep.
Super Heavy booster. And
Yep.
you can see
So
those 3 engines
Look, you can
on
see
the
it going
ship
off.
ignited.
You can see it going off. Wow.
6
Wow.
healthy Raptors running on ship on its way to space.
And Starship's
Peek
lit.
that engine
Starship's
view,
lit.
Booster doing the boost back. Chris,
All
how's it
engines?
looking over there in Hawthorne, man?
All 6 engines
It
on
is
Starship
looking
are
up.
Chamber pressure is nominal.
It is looking absolutely
Nominal.
incredible here in Hawthorne.
And the
As we
inner
said,
ring
6 healthy engines on ship. We've
yep.
got 13 out of 13 engines on the booster.
Back down
now
to
down
3.
to those 3, which
It's
is
normal.
what we expect in the final moments
Yep.
of the boost back burn. Now, as a reminder, we are not
This is
recovering
great.
the super heavy booster today. We are instead going to do
Booster
some.
shut down.
And there we
Yes,
had
they're
a
gonna
good shutdown
they're gonna
of
land
the
it
boost
on
back
the
burn.
ocean for those
Next
who
up
are
will be the
who came
jettison
late
of
and
that
think
hot
there's going to be a
stage
tower
Power
chopstick
and
catch.
telemetry
There won't
nominal.
be. Nominal.
Great call out there that everything looking nominal aboard
They're
the
deliberately-
super heavy vehicle, which is
Deliberately
returning
going to
Earth,
put it
and we're
on the
gonna be
ocean
doing
because they're
some
doing
experiments with
controlled
it,
engine
including
shut-off
a higher
tests,
angle
and they
of
didn't want to
attack
risk
re-entry,
the tower.
as well as some engine tests as it gets closer to the Gulf.
Yeah,
We
there you go,
are-
engine
again,
tests.
because of
Yep.
these tests not recovering it, we are sending it to the Gulf on purpose. to
See
do
how
those
there's a little
tests,
bit
but
of
again,
fuel?
You see the booster
Little
on the
tiny
left-hand
bit of
side of
fuel
your
left.
screen. You see ship with 6
Starship's
heavy
still
engines
going.
continuing its ascent to its planned suborbital trajectory.
Maybe my
Everything going
65%
very
was a
well so
bit.
far
I'm not
for
going to call it
Starship's
yet.
ninth
It's
flight.
a long
Now,
way to go.
4 minutes 15 seconds in.
It's like 40 minutes,
Great
isn't it?
views
Starship
from
flight.
inside of the aft engine area
shot.
of ship. They're looking at those 3 sea level and 3 Raptor engines on the right-hand side of your screen. The
Those
booster
engines are
doing
on?
its LOX dump, that liquid oxygen dump.
Didn't
So
look like
because
they
we
were
don't
on,
need
but
some
they're
of
on.
that liquid oxygen propellant in its tanks, we vent that propellant out to lessen the booster's mass as it comes in for its landing.
Lots of static. What's that? What's all the little
Just
particles
absolutely
flying off?
gorgeous views watching these two
Like-
vehicles do their respective things in the skies over Texas here today. And Dan, we're
It
approaching the
doesn't look
5-minute
like
mark
those
here. The
engines are
flight
on, does
super
it?
heavy
But
is
you can see
descending rapidly.
the stuff coming
What
out,
can
and
we
you can
expect
see
here in
the
the next few
propellant coming
minutes
out
as it
here.
does its atmospheric
But
test?
it's just these ones don't even look on, but they. Oh yeah,
now,
this
as
one you
we
can
had
see
talked
it
about super
coming
heavy
out.
might not have a very smooth.
You can't
ride
see it
down.
'cause of the
We're gonna
bright-
be putting
bright
it
earth
through
there.
this higher
Oh
angle of
yeah,
attack.
yeah, you can see it.
We're
You can
kinda
see the
pitching it up a
taper.
tiny bit,
Okay,
increasing
it's just an
drag.
exposure thing.
We've done
You can
this
see it
in
better
wind
now.
tunnels. We've done this in computer modeling. It shows that sometimes the control isn't great, but
Oh.
only one way to really prove it out, and that's to get real-world data. So here comes Super Heavy. It should be igniting for its landing burn in just about 40 seconds from now.
All right. Well, they've got camera on it.
And we are going to relight 13 engines.
Okay, so
then bring
that's
down to
the
3
tracking.
engines.
Okay, so
As
they've got
we
the
talked about
tracking camera,
earlier,
so
we
they're
will
gonna
be intentionally
tracking
shutting
camera
down.
from land.
We will be
That
shutting
is not
down
the engine's lit.
one of
That is
those
not
3
the engine's
center
lit.
engines
That's the heat. That's the
intentionally
re-entry heat.
to push the limits of the super heavy booster.
Ship Raptor, chamber
Wow.
pressure nominal.
Chamber
And
pressure
continuing to
nominal.
see 6
Nominal.
healthy engines on
No,
the
it's
ship.
gone.
3
Got some
sea
cloud
level
cover, do we?
and 3 vacuum engines still ignited.
So it obviously didn't
As
go
the
far
super
out
heavy
to sea
booster's
because they're
making
still
its way
able to
back
track
down
it
to
from
Earth.
their
You can see those
land
griffins
tracking
doing some
camera.
heavy
Oh,
work.
oh, it's on.
Start up.
There's missing one engine,
Ignited for our landing burn.
but that's okay. That's okay. You can lose one there. Oh, Starship's still going. What's?
It may have ended with that landing burn.
Oh, may have ended. What?
Does look like we lost telemetry from
Lost
the booster
telemetry.
once we started into that landing burn.
That
Did you
doesn't
hear
mean it's
confirmation that
Kamagata.
The booster did demise.
Did demise.
So the booster's flight ending before it was able to get through landing burn, but again, we are not bringing
What?
that back. We're expecting it to make a hard splashdown in the Gulf.
What?
We were getting live data back the entire time through that high angle of attack flight, so that was something that was really vital for us to get during this reuse.
RUD? Rapid
First free flight of booster in the
unexpected
books.
disassembly
All
of
right,
the
ship.
booster?
Has about 2 minutes left.
Yeah, in about 2 minutes,
How does
we
that work?
expect all 6 Raptor engines to shut down. That will be SECO, basically second
We
engine or
need
second
info
stage
on.
engine
Anyway,
shut off.
Starship's still going. Starship's
And
still
these
going
are
great.
some incredible
Gangbusters.
views, Dan, from the aft
Will this
end
be
of
the
ship,
unusual flight where the booster failed
watching as
and,
the
and
engines
Starship
stay
succeeds?
ignited with the Earth in the background.
No way. It
As
definitely
always,
blew up,
the
you reckon,
Starship
Andrew?
Avionics
The
team
booster went boom
detects-
boom, feathered? It's been so reliable.
I think we just heard the booster.
You could see it. Oh, could you?
All right,
Could
we
you actually
got
see it go
about a
boom
minute
boom?
left into this burn. All eyes definitely on ship as we get through the final stages
No way.
into its ascent.
Magic
We're
smoke was
expecting it
released.
to
Or
start
both
to cut
fail.
those engines off
Electrodacus is a pessimist.
in about 45 seconds.
Oh, the flight termination system terminated it. You reckon?
Terminal
Yeah,
ban.
I can't imagine it blowing up. Like it does. It has hardly any fuel left in it, and it's been super reliable. There's nothing more. You know,
All right, just about 30 seconds to go.
it's a very smart bet to bet on super heavy booster being
Terminal
reliable.
guidance.
It's just been fantastic.
The final stages of this
Automatic
ascent burn.
termination was executed to save the landing ship. No, but there is no landing thing.
Did
It,
see
it was on the
shutdown
ocean.
Of the Raptor engines.
So there was no reason to
We do
terminate it.
stagger these, so we do the Raptors
Or,
first.
or was there
Those
just
three
simply
have
an
shut down
automatic
successfully.
termination? But why would you have that
Sea
even
level's still
enabled
running.
when it's going on the ocean? I don't understand. Oh, okay. Well,
Ship engine cut off.
shut down. Okay, so the 3 outer engines of Starship shut off, and then the 3 inner ones after that, and that's normal. They expected that. Everyone's clapping.
Ship engine
Nominal
cut off,
insertion.
the 3 most beautiful words in the English language.
And great call out that we had nominal insertion.
Nominal insertion. Okay. So
An
Starship
incredible
is a
flight test
success.
so far
Well,
today.
no, they still have to deploy. I want to see the
We
images of
reflew
deploying
a
the
super heavy booster for
things.
The
Are
very
they going to
first
show
time
us?
in 9
They may
test
not show
flights.
us.
Ship is in its orbital trajectory.
Because I think they deliberately didn't.
Again, it's going to remain
show us last time or
suborbital
something.
for its mission today. But
Yeah,
it
it's
ignited
deliberately suborbital. People keep crapping on
It
about, oh, it
ignited
can't
all
even make
6 of its
orbit.
engines
They're
and made it
deliberately
all
not
the way
doing it.
through
And that's
SECO
annoying,
just now.
but they're deliberately not going for orbit. Because when you go for orbit, then you have to, it's a different safety profile. Because you have to, when you're in orbit, then you have to be very confident that you can control the re-entry
Incredible.
point.
All right,
Otherwise, you
that's-
have this giant,
Ooh,
you
still
know,
lots to
couple of
come for
$100-ton
the rest of this
thing
flight,
that will survive re-entry.
per usual.
That will
I need to
survive
collect
re-entry,
myself.
and
Hey,
because
Chris,
it's designed to,
how's it going over
and
there in
you
Hawthorne,
don't want it
man?
crashing
How's
into a
everybody
city
doing?
or something, right?
I
So you
think
don't
the
want it
elation
crashing
and the excitement and
into
the happiness
a,
at what we just saw achieved carried through
You don't want it
across all
crashing
of our sites.
into an unknown
What
location.
An incredible view to see
So,
Starship back orbiting
that's the whole
Earth,
point. So
just under
there's the
11 minutes into
tiles.
our mission.
You can
Absolutely
see some
exciting
tiles
to see
under
all
there.
of
Look at
this.
that.
And super pumped, especially to see all of the team's hard
getting
work in
darker.
action here today. As guaranteed, it has been
So,
an
yeah,
exciting evening so far for
so the
Starship's
reason
9th
that they
test
don't
flight.
go
We lifted off a
to
little
orbit
bit after 6:30
is because,
p.m.
yeah,
after a
it
couple
enters
of
a different
polls
safety
that were
profile
triggered
where
at
you
the
have to
T-minus
guarantee that
40-second
this.
mark, but we
People
were
don't
able to
realize
clear
how
those
big
one on
this
the
damn
Raptor,
thing
one
is.
on the
It's the size of
tower,
a bloody
and we were able to lift
skyscraper.
off successfully from Starbase. 33 out of 33 Raptor engines
And-
lit on the Super Heavy. All 6 engines
Yeah,
lit
that was
on
impressive.
ship,
That was a
bringing it to its
reused
planned
booster.
suborbital trajectory around Earth. But
Reused.
as Dan said, we've got a lot still coming up
Incredible.
in our flight sequence. So coming up at about T plus 18 minutes, 26 seconds, we'll have the first
I think they
deployment
replaced a couple of
simulated
engines on
Starlink
it, didn't they?
satellites
Can
planned
anyone
from
confirm that?
Starship.
How many engines
That
they
will be
replaced
followed
on
at about T plus 37 minutes and 49
booster?
seconds by the relight of a single Raptor sea level engine in space. This is going to help us gather data on our ability to do a deorbit burn for future Starship missions that
There
will
you
go
go.
orbital.
Yeah.
And then, of course, one of the biggest
So they want to
tests yet to
prove
come is
their
the new
vacuum
heat shield
engine
modifications
can
to
relight,
Starship,
so
and
that's
that'll start
part of the
with
safety
re-entry
profile
into
thing.
Earth's
So that's
atmosphere
why
at
they're doing
about
it
the
suborbital. So it doesn't
45-minute
matter if
mark,
it
which
fails.
should take about
They
16,
know exactly
18
where it's
minutes
going to
to
land.
complete.
So
Now, today's reentry is going to test that heat shield like we said.
So, you know, you've got to be
specifically
fair. And a
how
lot of
Starship will
commentators
hold up
out there
to
are not fair. A
100
lot of
missing
critics
heat
are not
shield
fair
tiles on its thermal
in what they're
protection
doing.
System. Now, we purposely
I can
took
understand
those 100 tiles
that
off
they're
over very
frustrated
critical
that it's
areas
not
of the
going to
vehicle
orbit. I am
to
too.
be able to safely test
I think
on
they
a
should
flight
go for
like
broke,
this suborbital
but,
trajectory into
you
the
know,
Indian Ocean. What might happen
this thing is
on
just
an
so
operational
huge
flight
that you can't,
in those
you know,
areas
you've got to
if
be
we were to
absolutely
lose the
sure that
primary
you can
heat shield
relight
tile
that
over
vacuum
Starship.
engine
So
and do a
very
controlled
critical
re-entry
test
burn.
coming up. And then after that, we'll have the final
Otherwise, if
descent
it
where we will
fails,
again be pushing
that sucker's
Starship
coming
to
down
its
in a
limits.
random
We
location.
definitely push the booster to its limits today to gather data,
Not
and we're
good.
going to be doing the exact same thing on that ship, seeing how the ship
Lots of
handles
ice.
various flight conditions that we will need it to fly in as we look to one day
Yeah.
soon bring ships back to Starbase for catch
Looks like it,
reuse.
doesn't it?
Now, while there are payload simulators on Starship for deployment today, as we will see in a few minutes, the primary
rotation
data
doesn't
and
look
payload,
good?
The primary payload for today is the data And
I don't
today,
know.
just
Is
like
it-
with Starship's
that's
previous
not
test flights,
right?
that data is coming
Says
to us
Whackman.
courtesy of
Rotation
our
doesn't look
Starlink
good.
network. In fact, it is from Starlink that you are seeing these wonderful views of ship in space
They
right
haven't
now.
got attitude control.
So,
okay.
and I can't
see
wait
spin.
to see Starship.
Looks like it's spinning.
Starlink really
People
provide
think-
those epic views and that data transmission
It's
during
spinning.
reentry, which is very, very critical to getting that data during reentry. So, Dan and Jesse, it's been an exciting day so far. There's
Spinning
more
maybe
to
just due to
come,
engine
as we get ready
cooldown
for
venting and
Starship's
stuff. Might
first
not be
ever
much
payload
point
deploy.
wasting
What
fuel
can we
counteracting
expect
at this
next year
point.
in the
Yeah,
next few minutes?
good call, Ben.
Thanks, Chris.
Flat spin.
Just going to reiterate, thank you to the Starlink team for these incredible views today.
Oh, a
In
little
a
bit
few
of
minutes,
something
Starship
flying off.
will deploy 8 Starlink simulators, similar in size to our next-generation Starlink satellites. The
Yeah,
Starlink
it's
simulators
only
will be on
slow,
the same
so yeah,
suborbital
maybe-
trajectory as Starship, meaning they will passively
Maybe as Ben
re-enter
said,
the
they're just not
atmosphere,
going to bother
just like Starship.
wasting fuel
With
counteracting
tests
that.
like these, we can see how Starship's
I
payload
presume they
deploy
could do
systems
that.
work in flight while ensuring that the simulator satellites pose no safety risk to people on Earth or for other satellites in orbit. Now, this also ensures that any parts of these simulator Starlink satellites that do survive reentry splash down harmlessly in the middle of the Indian Ocean.
Yep, that's why it's all suborbital.
And then before we get there,
Oh,
though,
the
we're gonna have
telemetry's
to
gone?
open
No,
up
I saw
that
it update
payload
there.
Deploy door.
No,
So
it's
we've only never done
updating.
that
Speed's
one time
updating.
before. Pretty sure it was Flight 3. Someone on the internet, please check me. But that was the only time
Telemetry,
we
yeah,
ever opened it.
telemetry's
And
still
we've
good,
had
Josh.
Starlink simulators on the last 2 flights, but we haven't gotten to this moment yet where we're able to open up the payload door and
May not
start
have any
deploying
mono
these.
propellant to counter a
It's
flat
gonna be
spinner
pretty
requires
cool.
gimbaling.
We've got them
Yeah,
stacked
dunno.
inside of the
Look,
Starship
that's not-
payload bay.
There's
and we'll
hardly
have
anything in that,
potentially a
right?
couple of views. You saw one camera
Whoa.
pop up. Yep,
There we go.
Look inside of the payload bay of
They've got, what,
Starship.
5?
You can
4?
see them stacked down in the middle of your view. There's kind of 4 on either side, so they're sandwiched
4 on
top
either
of
side.
each other,
Oh,
a
there's
stack of
2
4 right
arms.
behind each other. And
What,
then
there's
we're gonna
2
pop
sides?
the door open. It's on the right side of
Oh,
your
no.
screen. So
Okay.
we'll see that open up and then start firing
Is that the door?
those Starlink simulators out.
Oh, this would be great.
into
Okay,
space.
so it looks like they plan on showing it. They
We are
showed us
expecting
inside.
The payload door to
See all the
open
debris?
in a little
Wow.
over a minute from now. And then once that payload door is
Right,
open,
okay, but
about
they have
a
the
couple
ability
minutes
to
later
vent in
is
all
when we will
directions, counter the
start-
spin. It's really if they choose to do it. Yeah, I think they're
start
not just not
dispensing
choosing
those
to do it. There you go. That's a
Starlink
nice
simulators.
shot.
What a
View
great
right
view.
at the bottom of the stack. So should be able to see
Wow.
them kind of firing out from right there.
You
So
see the
really
big
cool.
chain there?
And eventually these,
See the big
these are going
chain?
to carry dozens of the
Nice.
next generation of Starlink satellite into space, and those are going to
See, that's what they're
enable some
focusing on. Like,
truly insane
Okay,
things in
great.
terms of speeds from space.
From SpaceX
and
point
what
of
we're
view,
able to- what we're
because
able to do.
SpaceX and, one of their big
Starlink's been
businesses
really
is
great for
Starlink.
Starship, obviously.
They've got a
getting live
contract to
video
do a
back is
human
really
landing
cool, but
system, which I
just the
believe
amount of
hasn't
high-speed
been
telemetry,
cancelled,
everything we're
right?
able to get back is insane.
Does anyone know if they
And for a
actually
development
cancelled
program,
the?
that's kind of
They haven't
everything.
cancelled the human landing system, right? They still
We're
plan
in
to land
excess
on
of
the
100,
moon, but that's it. They have nothing
130
after
or
that. It's
160.
cancelled
My
after that.
numbers are
otherwise.
fuzzy right now,
It's
just
snowing.
like my brain is. But well in excess of 100 megabits per second of downlink, and a lot of that gets eaten up by
100
video. We've got
megabits per second downlink.
dozens of cameras across Starship.
Incredible.
We added several more for this flight. You saw a couple of those as we have essentially 360
Yeah, this helps
degrees.
HLS.
Oop,
How? Yeah, it doesn't.
Open the pod
It doesn't.
door, Hal.
Elon's taken the opportunity to, actually develop Starship for purposes of Starlink and for the whatever Mars thing he's got bloody planned. They are
And we are
mass
expecting the
simulators.
payload door to
They're
open
not real Starlinks. They are
any
mass
moment now,
simulators, but I think
so
they do have
watching out
something
for
in
that.
them.
Again, you're looking at the
So-
inside of Starship.
Like they might
it's
each one might have a
suborbital.
little simple transmitter or something. I don't know, but yeah, they're basically mass simulators. They're not real, but I don't know. There might be some sort of something in there, some sort of
Well, we heard the door
telemetry, I
open was
don't
in
know.
progress. It was unable to actuate all the way open, so they are going to close it back up.
what?
Hal
What? It
told
couldn't
me
do it.
No. He said, "I'm sorry, Dan." can't do that.
What?
Looks like we won't get the door open today.
Ah, the door failed.
But that's okay.
Wah, wah,
This
wah,
is obviously a test we want to be able to do before we're deploying full-on Starlinks. But
They couldn't even open a door.
For this,
of all the
now
rocket
that we are
science,
in space,
of all the damn
is
rocket
getting
science that
to
goes
that
into
re-entry.
this.
That is the
They
most
can't open a
critical phase
door?
of Starship that we still have to prove out.
My God.
All right, well, so it does look like we're not going to be able to deploy Starlinks today, but
Fail.
we should have pretty frequent views from Starship. They might cut in and out every once in a while, but should be pretty regular. We
Unbelievable.
are in darkness right now, so might be a lot of black, but the cool part is when
Open
we
the
get
pod
to
bay
re-entry,
doors,
it's gonna be
please,
daytime.
Al.
Yes, and we did that on purpose so that we can get some live daytime views
was
as
reused
ship is
Cybertruck
returning back
doors.
to Earth.
All right, so we are going to take a break. Enjoy these views as we get them. Enjoy
So
the
that's a
tunes.
giant
We'll be back in a
that's
couple
a-
of minutes
oh
when
my
we get
God,
ready
you know,
to
you can't
relight
even open
one
a
of those Raptor
door.
engines on orbit. See you soon.
Look at that crappy garage door. Is that what Thunderfoot said? Yeah. So what, the door's over here? Is that where? They said the right-hand side, but no, that doesn't look like the door. No. Or is that it down the bottom? There? No? Where's the door? They said the right-hand side. But anyway, it didn't bloody well open. Unbelievable. So you can still, because the debris is moving like that, does that mean that's due to the spin, right? Or have they got some sort of, no, so why is all the debris moving like that? I assume that's because it's spinning, right? Are we going to get demonetized for the music? Sabotage. Yes, I assume they're going to land with the payload still on it. Yep. I assume they have enough fuel for that. I assume that they... See, the system should take care of that. Like, you know, it should be able to properly control the thing based on if the load's there or not. Yeah, I was praising boosters too much and jinxed it. Yeah, sorry, my fault. The booster failed. I can't believe the booster failed. Man, on landing. What, it's been, what, 5 in a row or something? It's been spot on. How many? Can someone get an exact count of how many successful booster landings there have been? That includes chopsticks and ocean. And it's like, what is it, 5? I think the last failure was like back at flight 3 or something. It's been incredible. It's getting a doge of counting to where the money from NASA has been spent on Starship. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Yeah, because it was supposed to be for the human landing system, but I don't know. Like, you just don't know the wording of the contract. Wouldn't surprise me if the wording in there specifically says, oh, we can also test our Starlink deployment thing and anything we need for Mars as well. And they probably just signed off on, you know, like that would not surprise me at all. Hi. Oh boy. Yeah, hi again. Hi again. People are waving. Look, Mum, I'm at SpaceX. I'm working at SpaceX. Are you watching me? I'm surprised there's not a sign. Hi, Mum. Unbelievable. Like, yeah, it's been super reliable. Okay, it did more extreme approach angle, so not all that surprising. Yeah, well, they were doing literally controlled tests on shutting down the engines. So, yeah, I guess you can cut them some slack on that, right? Still, yeah, booster was operating under more extreme conditions. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'll give him a pass. It was actually a deliberate test. It was a deliberate test. So it probably would have worked if they just took it back to the bloody tower and they didn't do all the, you know, did the exact same re-entries, but exact same landing profiles before. They found a limit. Okay, yeah. Everyone's saying fair suck of the sav on the booster, and fair enough. I agree. Fair suck of the sav on the booster. They were extreme testing it, and and they did find the limit. Andy Mouse is the booster. They were extreme testing the booster, and it was perfect up until it was just about to land. It was like 30 seconds away from landing, and it looks like it released the magic smoke. But they were extreme testing the booster. So they were deliberately doing extreme tests on it. That's why they were deliberately landing over the ocean. And Starship looks fine, apart from they couldn't get the doors open. They could not get the doors open. My God, probably the simplest thing in this whole operation is to open the pod bay doors, Hal. Like, you know. What are we waiting for now? We are waiting for Starship to re-enter. So it'll be like another half an hour or something. So, yeah, the only thing left is for Starship to re-enter. So it's currently 187 kilometers. We're still getting telemetry from it. Because I think I just saw a digit change. If you see those digits change at all, yeah, 3324. So if you see those change, then the telemetry is still good. So that's what we're waiting for. Waiting for the re-entry. It's not going to land. It's going to land on the water. But they should have a buoy out there to capture some footage. Hopefully live, but I don't know. They didn't have it live last time, I don't think. Come undone by a door jam. Yeah. Why test more extreme angles when they had a working method? Fair enough. It's because they wanted to test. They were doing deliberate engine shutdown tests. So they wanted to test what operational control they had during the landing of the booster if they had an engine fail in various scenarios. And somebody said they more extreme angle or something, so they were testing whether or not they could recover from a more extreme angle. I would presume, but I don't know details of that. But yeah, they were deliberately testing whether or not the engine, they were deliberately shutting down the engines. So they wanted to test they wanted more data on what would happen if an engine accidentally failed during it's just about to land on the chopsticks and an engine fails. They wanted more data on that. So they decided to use this reused booster, this booster that's flown for a second time, which is incredible, to test that. And fair enough. And I guess they found the limits of that. So they're probably happy with the data. So HLS needs the normal Starship to work as it needs refueling in space, and normal Starship is meant to launch Starlink, so testing this now makes sense. Well, the human landing, isn't the human landing Starship totally different to Starlink deployment Starship? I thought they were very different beasts. One, it's got to have humans in it. For starters, where are the crew quarters in the, no one's ever seen this. Where's the Starship with the actual human occupancy, that tests the oxygen systems and I don't know, stuff like that. That's what I wanted to see now, because okay, they're only testing. Granted, yeah, the Starship that goes up and just does the refueling is going to be different. It wouldn't have all the human occupant stuff, right? So yeah, because they've got to launch a human occupant Starship up there to orbit, right? So they've got to get that up there, and then they've got to fly like 10, a dozen refueling starships, which would be a different configuration Starship. They wouldn't have any of the human occupant stuff, and then they just simply refuel the human occupant, the HLS Starship, and then the HLS Starship takes off to the moon and rendezvous with the Gateway, and then the humans hop on board at the Gateway and in rectilinear halo orbit, and then land the sucker. Oh, Jesus. Can we please go back to Apollo? Can we just get humans on the moon again, please? Can we just demonstrate that as a species we're capable of doing that again, please? It's not too much to ask, is it? Am I asking too much? Just do what worked. They nailed it with Apollo. Where in the water is it landing? I don't know. Somewhere in the ocean. Oh, it's usually off the coast of Western Australia, isn't it? I think it's usually somewhere off the coast of Western Australia. Oh, we've got some telemetry. It's pretty poor. Gulf of Mexico and Gulf of America. Gulf of America. Is it landing in the Gulf of America? It wouldn't be after all this time. Surely it's not landing. No. The booster was landing in the Gulf of America. I think, wasn't it? I can't do a Thunderfoot impression. How am I supposed to do a Thunderfoot impression? Is he live? Is he doing this live? Is there any Thunderfoot live show? How is Starship ever going to be human rated without an escape system?
All right.
Good question. It's
we are about
because
30 minutes into
30
today's
minutes?
flight test. And the
It's
ship
because
is on its suborbital trajectory.
they aren't
As
launching
you can
humans
see in
on
some
Starship.
Of the views and from some
They're
of
only
the
landing them
telemetry,
on the
we
moon.
are in a little bit of a spin. We did
Oh.
spring a leak in
Uh-oh.
some of the fuel
Uh-oh.
systems
It's Kamikaze.
inside of Starship, which
Yep.
a lot of those
Look
are
at that,
used for your attitude
look at that
control.
spin rate.
And so at this point,
it's
we've
going back.
essentially lost our attitude control with Starship. We are still on a path toward re-entry. We are suborbital, so no matter what, we are going to enter. However, this
it's
lowers
Kamikaze.
the chances for it to be a controlled re-entry. So
Lowers
if you
chances,
think
okay,
back
so they're
to
not-
Flight 3, when we had something similar
Probably
happen,
deciding if they should try
just
and
the
control it.
end symptom of a loss
Try
of
and
attitude control. We were in a roll
correct
by
it.
the time we hit re-entry. So we are going to re-enter. We should hopefully still have views.
They've changed the view down the bottom.
The Starlink satellites are pretty robust to still maintaining contact. We've got 4 of those terminals on the vehicle, and they're pretty robust to maintaining contact even when we are in a spin, essentially. So we should hopefully continue to keep live.
It's amazing that they
gonna
still get
be
telemetry
dark,
from it. Starlink's
until we get
incredible.
a little bit closer to entry, as we are a little bit, we're coming up on Africa. I believe we do swing just to the south of that continent. And by the time we start heading out over the Indian Ocean, we'll start heading into a sunrise. So, not looking great with a lot of
they're
our
going to the
on-orbit
Indian
objectives for
Ocean.
today, where we were hoping to do the PES deploy and relight an engine, and then really importantly, get into that controlled entry to really put the heat shield through the ringer. Nonetheless, Starship marching forward towards that re-entry over the Indian Ocean, so we'll continue to hang with it and give you any updates
No
as
worries,
things
QS.
continue to change.
Yeah. Yes. The reason that they don't have an escape system on Starship is because they're not launching humans on Starship. Starship is not designed to launch humans from Earth. It is designed to the HLS version, the Artemis plan, does not call for launching humans from Earth on Starship or this super heavy booster. they only hop on. They only hop on for the landing, literally the landing. That's why it's called the Human Landing System, HLS. Only designed to land from Gateway, so the humans get delivered to Gateway by another system, and then they hop on Starship, and Starship just lands. And it's insane, because Starship is not how you would build a lunar lander. If, you know, engineers were going, right, we have to design something that lands on the moon. You would not design it like Starship. You would not design it like Starship. There's no way in hell you would do, if there was a design review meeting, right? We can build anything we want. And right, give me all your proposals of all your different things that are going to land on the moon. And you propose Starship to land vertically on the moon. You'd be laughed out of the room. The only reason it's selected is because technically SpaceX were already working on that, and they gave a proposal for in fact, I think this is a quote from one of the NASA admins. Everyone else, because there were other proposals for the human landing system, that the other proposals gave them they used the ship analogy. The other proposals gave us like a cargo, like a little dinghy or something, and SpaceX promised a aircraft carrier, so they went, and it was cheaper. So they went with Starship, even though Starship's the last thing you want to pick to try and land on the moon. It's just insane, but technically it's possible, so if it doesn't fall over. Tintin managed to land it on the moon vertically. Has anything worked correctly during this flight yet? Yes. The reused booster. The reused booster actually worked perfectly. It actually worked perfectly, and this is reused with 33 engines. Reused. They all lit perfectly. Boost was perfect. It's only because they were doing silly bugger. They were very deliberately playing silly buggers during the landing phase that it came a gutser. So the booster actually technically worked perfectly. So, yeah. So once again, the booster's got 100% success rate. It's great. But yeah, I think they just deliberately pushed it too far there, but that's what they wanted to do. So no surprise it came a gutser. Oh, yes. There was some shenanigans going on there.
All right, so 36
and now
minutes,
she's magically working at
15
SpaceX, isn't she?
Into today's flight test.
Here we go.
Seeing
Oh, look at that.
Here
Whee!
on the ship. If
Anyone
you've
dizzy
been
yet?
following along, we have essentially lost attitude control on the ship at this point. It
What are
is
those holes?
suborbital, so it's still headed to the exact same trajectory as before. We were not able to get that payload
Couldn't
door
get it back.
open and deploy
no,
those
that's
nose
the door.
cones. We've
Yep.
been dealing with some leaks on the ship. This is also what led to that loss of attitude control. So at this point, we are kind of in a spin. And
Kind
we
of
are
in a
also
spin.
going to be skipping that Raptor relight.
Show us the
If
show
you've
us the
followed
telemetry
through
for
the
the
history of Starship.
for the spin.
Something similar happened.
They've
Different cause,
deliberately
but same symptom. Back on flight
left that off the
3,
screen.
where we weren't able to maintain attitude control in orbit, and so we're gonna skip the relight of that Raptor engine while we're in space. We are going to still proceed with entry, but as we are not able to control the
You have
attitude
to
of the ship,
proceed with
as we
entry.
get
It's
into
suborbital. It's
it
coming
will
down
enter
whether you
in
like it or
whatever
not.
orientation it is in at the
So
time.
they're not even going to relight the
which does
Raptor. You might
not
as well
bode
relight the
well for
Raptor at this.
the
Isn't that the
ship's
most
heat shield,
important thing?
as we're not going to be essentially aligned the way that we want to do for reentry. So
Your
it is
heat
definitely
shield's
coming
not going to
down.
be
It
aligned
is
properly.
definitely heading to the Indian Ocean.
So
but
it's going to come out
our
gutser
chances
when
of
it comes
making
through
all
the
way
atmosphere.
down are
So why not
pretty
try and
slim.
relight your Raptor and just
so we'll
do
still
that?
get as much data as we can.
Just
We're
test
still
that.
getting live telemetry,
don't get
live
it.
views from Starlink the entire time. and we'll continue to stick with ship as it continues on. We are about 10 minutes away or so
10 minutes
until we start getting into entry.
Yeah,
And
it's just going to burn up,
will start to pick up
yeah.
as we cross
They've
the
got
Indian
no
Ocean,
control
and we'll
over
start to see a little bit more daylight,
and the
we'll,
heat tiles
as
are only
always,
on one
as long as
side.
we
It's got to
maintain
enter
that
with the
comm link,
correct
get some
attitude to.
plasma on the way in.
Yep.
And start to bring the Starship back through the Earth's atmosphere. So that coming up.
How long
in
will the
about 10
telemetry
minutes or
last?
so.
That is the question.
So
We're
we'll
going to
check
see
back in with everybody
nice
in a little
plasma. We may get plasma in about 10 minutes. While I'm here, I might as well. I was going to release it this morning, but I forgot to set the timer. Here is my latest video, if you have not seen it. There is my latest video. A tutorial. Haven't done one of those in a while. It was about twice as long as I wanted it to be, as I thought it would be. Turned out about twice as long. And there was stuff I left off. I was going to include another bench test on there, like build up a LM317 circuit, and it was like the video was already long enough, so I went, nah, bugger it. Yeah, I suppose not lighting the engine. Yeah, you'll have a better idea where it will land. Yeah, true, but they plan to light the engine anyway. So I'm not sure what the deal is there. I presume that they have a buoy out there with the camera floating in the ocean. But that's assuming that it can enter with some fuel left. It can enter intact with some fuel left. And then control the descent. But I'm doubting it, Oscar. They're saying that oh, look at that. There we go. I'm doubting it because they say they can't control where the heat tiles are. They can't control it. So the heat tiles aren't all around Starship. So I think it's just going to bake. Twice as long as the whiteboard fell off the wall. Yes, yes. You can see that on my second channel video. The whiteboard fell off the wall again. Unbelievable. No, the plan didn't get changed because of the... Well, I don't think the plan changed because of the failure of the door. I don't think that's the reason that they're not going to relight the vacuum engine. Oh, yeah, the fuel leaked. That's right. They said they had a leak, right? Yeah. Yeah, they said they had a leak, and the only thing that's going to leak is your fuel. So, yeah, they probably can't control anything. So, right, and that's why they weren't going to light it, because it'd just blow up. Right, yeah, fair enough. Plasma, yeah, plasma are starting. You see the thruster going in the top left? It's trying, is it? It's trying. Yeah, well, I guess the Starship's going to do it because it's under its own control. It's going to do whatever it can to fulfill its mission. It's going to have a go. It's starting to look cool. Yeah, getting toasty. Burn, baby, Disco Inferno. Need some disco music.
All right, so we are 42 minutes and change into today's flight test. You're seeing the light show start.
Oh, she's coming down quick now.
Closer to its reentry. If you're just
99,
tuning in,
yep,
we were able
hit
to
the common
successfully
line.
make it to orbit. Run into a couple of issues as we've coasted to our entry point over the Indian Ocean. At this point, we had lost attitude control of the ship and entered into a spin. The team made the call to do what's called passivate the vehicle, so we're essentially venting all of the remaining propellant
Oh, they're
overboard,
venting it.
and it's going to make an uncontrolled reentry. Important to note,
There
this
you
is
go.
a contingency that is planned for, and we clear the zones in the Indian Ocean where these
Right.
entries
So
could take
we're
place.
going to get no landing footage,
so we're not
folks. So
gonna
the
come
only
down
thing we're going to
exactly
get.
where we would have had nothing happened.
Yep.
But we do clear a tremendous amount of
Landing
space
footage.
out in the Indian Ocean.
It's
in
gonna
the
be
event
a-
that we run into this. You always
it's just
we-
gonna
we
be debris.
understand that there are always risks, essentially, with these flight tests with the hardware, but we don't really accept any compromise when it comes to protecting people.
And it is one thing to note is we will actually still re-enter in our planned airspace zone, which is good. That is exactly what we planned for. You know, we do plan for if something does go a little bit off nominal, that we have enough airspace cleared out for situations just like this.
Yeah, re-entry is still just that really critical phase that we need to try and gather as much data, as much information as possible. Is a fully reusable heat shield has never been flown before, history of space flight, and that's something that Starship still has to crack. And so we had a whole range of experiments on this one at this point, and we just started to lose some of our cameras, so it's very possible that we'll start to lose contact with Starship a lot sooner than we would have if it was a nominal re-entry. So we are expecting
There will be
it
zero
to
diverted
break up
flights because
essentially
they're
on its
entering
re-entry
into
over the
their
Indian Ocean.
designated
So
zone.
not
So
able
it's
to do
completely
a
safe.
lot of our on-orbit objectives today, but just the fact that we, got it into space was just a really big moment for a lot
Some
of the team.
unsuspecting fishermen, yeah.
And another thing to note is that Super Heavy did fly for its second flight today. It first flew on flight 7, and it made it all the way to our shutdown of all the engines
Elon's
and
gonna be
stage separation, getting ship into its
I agree.
suborbital trajectory today.
Yep, and it just adds fuel
did
to the
ignite its
critics.
13 engines, but it did demise at that point.
Oh,
We
it didn't
did
reach orbit
plan
again.
to fly it,
And it just
back
blew
down
up.
to Earth at a higher angle of attack, and
The
we
booster
do
blew up.
expect it to stress the vehicle a lot more than what we've seen previously. So it's not unexpected that we did lose the booster before we got to the actual landing.
They said that
So
they
we're
were
gonna
entering into
continue
their
to hang out
designated
and see if we get
landing
any
zone.
updates on
So
ship. It does look like
they did
we
specifically
might be
say that.
getting some video back soon. There we go.
Boom.
So this is a view.
Yeah, it's amazing that they
essentially
get footage. Starlink's
on
amazing.
the top part of Starship. You're
They've got
looking
multiple
up
Starlink
at the
antennas
payload
on the
bay
thing.
and towards the nose cone.
And it's
So
just
views are going to be a little bit scarce potentially, as again we are in essentially a tumble. We had lost that attitude control. So Starlink, when it's able to connect, able to feed this down. We are at the phase where we would expect entry to start within the next minute or so. So
I
we
don't
are
know who
entering
Scotty Kilmer is.
uncontrolled, but again, we're entering into an airspace and a sea space that is cleared and monitored in advance of launch.
You're not a happy
before we get
camper.
to this phase.
And with the views that we are able to see, you are seeing a lot of that plasma build
Yeah,
up.
well,
during reentry, we do expect the vehicle to see about 1,400 degrees Celsius, and there you can see the flap feeling that temperature there, a little bit melting away. But as we expected with the spinning of the vehicle, we are no longer
the views are pretty
controlling
cool.
the attitude of the vehicle.
Nobody
So
does views
this is
like
now at this point in
SpaceX.
the test
It's
flight.
great.
It is expected to see it begin to demise a little bit on its way back.
Of course,
down
you
to Earth.
expect it because they have their
So
own bloody
we'll stick with it.
7,000 satellites up there
Kind of
to capture the data.
Any reach back from the ship as it starts to make this reentry. But
Yeah,
So
it's pretty amazing actually. Yeah, it's just tumbling out of control.
right now. And again, we did do
59
what's called
kilometers,
passivation,
where
so you
telemetry
essentially
stopped,
vent
right?
All of your excess
So it's
propellant
probably at
overboard
40
before you hit
kilometers
the
or
atmosphere.
40 kilometers or
That's a
something
safety
now. Right?
measure we can take on the ship while you still have contact with it.
Well and
So
truly
that was
into the
done. It's now
slamming
coming
into the
down
atmosphere.
in the predetermined
And
hazard
it's still-
area that was cleared ahead of flight.
Still getting footage.
Not controlled, so we're not going to get all of that reentry data that we're still really looking forward to. This is kind of a new generation of ship.
Oh,
that
Scotty
has
Kilmer is CEO at
different flaps,
Toyota.
improved
Okay,
heat shield,
I had
a whole
no
lot
idea.
of things that we're really trying to really put through the
Scotty
ringer.
Kilmer.
As there's a whole lot
It's
we
not a
still
very
need
Japanese
to learn before
name.
we get to kind of the
Japanese
next
company?
step that we're hoping for, which is going to be that ship going orbital and eventually coming back here for a catch.
Yeah,
So
no, I'd
getting
say
through
telemetry's gone.
one of these fully is going to be really important. It's not going to be today, but we are just going to stick with the ship, see what else we can learn.
Yeah, I think she's
as it makes
Gonski
its
now.
way through the atmosphere and brings an end to the 9th flight test. So we'll stick
Yeah.
with it.
Meh. Totally uneventful, huh? Boring. What? Yeah, everyone's a bit, it's like, not again. Oh, boy. Yep, I think she's done and dusted, but I'll hang around. I'll hang around until it's officially kaput. But it should be, like, within minutes, right? Because it was falling, the rate it was falling at. It was like 0.1 kilometer a second at least.
If you're just now
Oh,
joining us, we
Scott
did
Kilmer is
have
an
an
ice
on-time
YouTuber. Hates
liftoff from
EVs.
Starbase,
Okay.
Texas at 6:30 p.m. Central Time of the Flight 9 vehicle. We did have some incredibly stressing objectives today.
Yeah, no,
The
boom.
Super Heavy
Yeah.
booster flew for its second flight. It first flew on Flight 9 and
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
made its
You
way
have
take
to give it
ship
to 'em.
all the way up to
The
stage
booster's incredible.
separation, doing its second flight ever, which is pretty incredible. We did lose the booster on the way back down, as we did fly it back down at a higher angle of attack. So as expected, we did have it demise on the way back
Right.
down.
Higher
We
angle
were
of
able
attack.
to get
Okay.
all the way to that landing
Yep.
burn, though. So we made it through that higher angle of attack. So
Oh,
a lot
they
of
made it
great
through
data
that.
That's going to help us
Okay.
improve those future booster flights.
Yeah, we did do the directional flip, and it worked.
Yep.
It was actually
Flipped
a
in the
great
right
view that
direction.
we saw. And then ship continued.
They're
6
trying to
healthy
talk it
Raptor
up.
engines
As they
at the
should. I
beginning
mean, it's
of
very
its
impressive.
flight, making it all the way to Seco.
It has
and
lost to
coasting
Davy
for quite a
Jones's
while.
locker, yep.
We made it to the expected time that we would open up the payload door. Unfortunately, the door did not open as
At
we
this
expected
rate,
it to, so we did not deploy the 8
Electron
Starlink
will be landing
satellites.
Kiwis on the moon
Yeah,
first.
we ran into a couple of issues once ship got there, but I can tell you it was.
But the
pretty
rapid iteration,
crazy
I mean, it's, you've
moment
got to
for a lot
remember
of the people that
how
were
many.
standing here for ship to make it there.
How, like, you know, people
It's
say,
been
yeah,
a
this is
couple
the
of
9th
flights,
test.
but
Okay.
it was really exciting to see.
How
Ran into some issues on
long
orbit.
have
We weren't
those
able to
9
deploy
tests
the
been?
Starlinks. We
A year and a
eventually lost
half?
attitude control.
Or something?
dealing
I
with some
don't know the
propellant
exact.
links
I'm just
inside
guessing
of the
there.
ship.
But it's not long.
And we did lose attitude
It's not
control.
long.
And
Others
just to
don't even
confirm,
launch
we did
one
lose
thing
contact
in
with the ship
the
officially
same
a couple
time
of
span
minutes
as
ago,
Starship,
so that
as
brings an end
SpaceX
to
have
the
launched
9th
9.
flight test. So
You know, it's crazy.
still a lot of work to do, but really big moment. Chris, how's everybody doing over there in Hawthorne? What's the vibes, man?
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's a test program, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to learn, and that was definitely the vibe.
I don't think we've seen this dude before, have we?
Would have been great to see ship get all the way through its objectives
Seems happy.
today, but with all of that data that came down through the Starlink system, we're definitely going to learn, and we're definitely going to fix that and push forward. Also, great to see the responsible engineers here in mission control, talking with the flight control teams in Starbase. We talked about how it's great having that expert knowledge on console to be able to go to at a moment's notice, and that really helped us make the right decisions in orbit today when we decided to pass the
Yes,
vehicle. So we will
I
be
agree
here
that the
looking forward
SpaceX
to
stream
Flight
presenters
10
are really
and,
good.
some
Yep.
success on future flights.
They are.
All right. Well,
They are. The ones on NASA are
obviously,
terrible.
Congratulations to everybody that poured so much time, effort.
Well, I'm not
into
going to say
getting
they're all
this ship,
terrible, but they
this
do have some
rocket
crap
off the
people. No,
pad.
these two are
the
excellent.
last 2 months have been
The
an
other dude
absolute,
seems good, and yeah,
like,
no, the
gauntlet for a lot of people.
Dan, I
and
think his
we're
name is. I
continuing
forget her
to
name.
learn more about this ship, about this rocket. We are trying to do something that is impossibly hard. And
I agree.
It's
They're
not
very
always
good.
going
They've got
to,
good
you're not going
people
to reach it in a straight line.
doing
We
this.
said there's going to be bumps, there's going to be
And
turns.
these are
but
engineers too. These
seeing
aren't
that
just
ship in space
you know,
today was a hell of
media
a moment
plebs.
for us. So congratulations to every single person who put time, effort, sweat, anything.
So Dan's probably going to go straight back to the bench.
This is exactly
and,
the SpaceX way. We're going to learn,
work on the data.
iterate, and iterate over and over again until we figure it out. So thank you to everybody for tuning in. Thank you for the fine people of Cameron County, including the residents of the newest city of
I don't know
Starbase,
about that. God's favorite
as well
and
as
doing
Coast
something
Guard,
quickly is
Federal
not impressive
Aviation
if you're just
Administration,
failing
Government of
quickly.
Mexico,
Well, it
as
just
well as
means
the
that you're doing it
Australian
in public
Space
view.
Agency.
All right.
I mean,
now,
you know.
this is not the end. We're going to have a whole bunch of cool liftoff stuff, so be sure to follow us.
No,
on
there's
at
pros and cons
SpaceX
both
for
ways.
more.
But as I
And
said,
we
the
will see
booster
you
is
back
freaking
here
awesome. You got
for
to
Flight
remember,
10.
this has
Thanks for
33
tuning in.
engines. This is bigger than the Soviet N1, right? It's the most powerful booster ever. Well, we're done. It's the most powerful booster ever, and it's got 33 engines. It's insane, and they just reused it. They just reused it. It landed. They caught it. It's the size of a freaking 40-story building, and they caught it. And well, they landed it on the tower. It's not actually catching, but kind of is. And yeah, it's just the booster's incredible. Starship is like, yeah, but I'm really amazed by the booster. Thunderfoot's very happy right now. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, 33. It's just insane, and these are reused engines. They're reused, and it worked perfectly. They could have landed this thing for a second time. It's just amazing capability. They just have to make use of it, which is why I reckon, yeah, just bloody if you want to use Starship to deploy your satellites, fine, do it. But just get us to the moon using an Apollo type system, please. Like I guarantee you, there would be astronauts who would happily fly on this booster now. I think this booster is so well proven that you could put humans on it right now. You could put humans on top of this booster. That's how reliable it is. It's unbelievable. And yep. Oh boy. Yeah, you could whack a Dragon capsule on top of the booster. You could whack anything on top of this booster. That's the thing. That's the great thing about it. Yep. But yeah, it's not what you want to go to the moon with. The fact that you have to refuel the thing a dozen times should be an immediate showstopper. Not for long term, like, I can understand, like, long term to get massive amounts of cargo on the moon, you need something like this. But, geez, one step at a time. We've effectively reset ourselves. Yes, we made it to the moon with Apollo. Yay, humans. Fantastic, But, yeah, it's essentially reset now. It's like we have to prove that we can get back to the moon again. Have to prove that we can get humans back there. And you're not going to do that with Starship. The whole idea is that China will beat. China will beat us. Do you really want China to beat us to the moon? And we can sit back and go, oh, it doesn't matter. We did that 55 years ago. We did that 60 years ago. Like, no, it's not going to cut it. No one's going to care. If China land humans on the moon, nobody is going to care that we did Apollo in 1969 and early 70s. No one's going to give a rat's ass. The fact is, China will have the moon. China will have the high ground. And, yeah, no, we need to get humans back there. And I want to see my moon base, damn it. When I was a kid, I was promised a moon base by now. My kids would be growing up in an era where we have a moon base. Where's my moon base? I want my damn moon base. Yep. What do you mean there's no other competitors? Blue Origin are going to attempt to land on the moon this year. So within the next 6 months, Blue Origin are going to attempt their lunar landing with their Mark 1 lander. It's not human capable. Only the Mark 2 lander will be human capable. But the Mark 1, they're going to land on the moon this year. That's their plan. On a new Shepard rocket booster. And they don't need any of this refueling bullshit. Oh no, but they do have a refueling thing, but that's for the human lander, I think. I'm not sure. I think the one they're trying this year is going in one shot. It's going in one shot. So yeah, I'm really stoked about that. That's great. I really hope that works. Confidence is high. I repeat, confidence is high that Blue Origin can land on the moon. Of course, they're unproven until they succeed, but it's the vibe. It's the vibe. I like the Blue Origin vibe. Yes, I believe NASA have their funding reduced. Yes, the moon Nazis are safe for now. Yep. The moon Nazis on the dark side. Yep. They're safe. Yeah, I know, the last bullshit Blue Origin flight, but you've got to separate that. That's a different program to their moon stuff. That is an entirely different program. They're going up on the New Shepard, little tiny pissant rocket. They're not going up on the New Glenn. Sorry, the New Glenn. The New Glenn is the biggie, which is the moon rocket. Which is the deep space rocket. Yes, New Glenn. Yes, Rassenbot. Yes, New Glenn. Got it mixed up. No worries. An turnip. Yeah, then it succeeds and you forget about all the tests. Yes. Yeah. That I guarantee you the same thing will happen if China land humans on the moon. Or even if they send humans around the moon, even if they just do a human polar weight slingshot mission with humans, no one will remember Apollo. Yeah, whatever, Henry. It's a live stream. Sue me. No, I don't think he should stick with running Amazon. I think Bezos is doing apart from the stupid girly mission they just set up and all that, the tourist flights or whatever. But that's a thing. If people want to pay to go up, fine. Actually provide that service. Great. Okay. I think moon tourism is going to be the huge thing. The next huge thing in the next 20 years will be moon tourism. People will be paying their life savings for the ultimate bucket list to go to the moon, either slingshot around or potentially land. But that's a fair way off. But no, people will pay for that. I guarantee it. No, but Blue Origin are doing great work. The New Glenn rocket's incredible. It's great. And their human landing system looks like the go. And they're going to be launching this year. The Mark 1, which is not human capable, but, they're testing out that they can land on the South Pole of the moon. If they pull that off, holy shit, if they pull that off this year, holy shit. They are the player. They are the major moon player. Yeah, the New Glenn worked on the first try. Yeah. I think they had a few issues with it, didn't they? But it basically worked. 20 years seems a bit too soon. No. If SpaceX, I bet you SpaceX would be taking people on joy flights around the moon right now. If they actually focused on that. If they actually focused on that, they could have done that by now. SpaceX could easily have done that. A Falcon Heavy booster can get humans in a little capsule slingshotted around the moon. They just need a moon re-entry capable version of Dragon. And the thing is, the moon's so close in the solar system scale. The moon is so close. You can get there in a couple of days. A couple of days there, couple of days back. No worries, right? They could have done that if they focused on developing a lunar re-entry, because the re-entry speeds are faster. So you can't just use a regular Dragon capsule, but you put your beefed up. They should focus on a moon-capable Dragon. Because Dragon's great, right? They've absolutely nailed Dragon. It's fantastic. The Dragon capsule, just make a variant that can survive lunar re-entry. Great. And we could send, there would have been humans slungshot around the moon by now, orbiting the moon and then coming back. Yep. Yeah, SpaceX focus is going to Mars, which is dumb. You don't want to go, you don't want to be focused on going to Mars. Just get to the moon. You could even make it profitable. They could make it profitable. I bet you, if SpaceX had a Dragon capsule that could orbit the moon, that could even slingshot around the moon, there'd be people lining up. There'd be billionaires lining up to take that joyride. To take that joyride around the moon. It'd be the ultimate bucket list. Yeah, I reckon that's a best case estimate, Ben. Yeah. Yep. I need a year to sort out the current issues, probably another 1 to 2 years to get the refuel tankers working. Totally agree. I'd be surprised if it's faster than that. Yep. I mean, in theory, they can get it all working. There's nothing technically wrong with it. It's just, it's not the right tool for the job. It's like a jack of all trades Starship, unfortunately. Was that ever a thing? Dragon landing with engines? I'm not sure that was ever a thing. Was it? No. Yeah, well, they should be. They should be profit motivated. Because, like sooner or later, the company's going to come a gutser due to finances. And, well, what the hell do you do then? Your vision's over. They should start to be motivated by profit. No, I've said this on Twitter. I stand by it. Space mining will never be profitable. Ever. Ever. You're wasting your money on that. If anyone invests in a space mining company, you're going to lose. You're going to lose your shirt. Oh yeah, Starlink is profit motivated. Yeah. Is Starlink a separate company? Or is it still under SpaceX? Does anyone know? I don't think I've ever checked on the technical details of that. Yeah. Starlink, as much as I hate the fact that there's 7,000 satellites up there polluting the thing, I think Starlink's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. And those who have it love it. Those, like, it's game changing for them. Starlink is still SpaceX, is it? Okay. Right. Subsidiary. Yes, space mining will be a necessity eventually. It will for using the resources in outer space. It will never be profitable to bring the resources back to Earth. It's stupid. It's fundamentally stupid. It will always be orders and orders of magnitude cheaper to mine on Earth. Always. Beam energy back to Earth. Solar freaking roadways from the moon. What's his name? Scott Brussel, the solar roadways guy, will be in his rocking chair going, we can develop our doing his tiles. Our tiles will be great on the moon. We got some Department of Defense funding. They're still going after, I think it's 19 years now. It's 18 or 19 years they've been doing the solar roadways grift. They've still got government funding. It's incredible. No, it's bullshit. I've done a video on that. Nope, it's bullshit. Again. The transmitting the microwaves back is only like 20% efficient, tops. So, yeah. Don't even think about it. What space tech thing are you most looking forward to? I'm looking forward to humans getting back on the moon. That's the big thing, that and having a moon base. I was promised when I was a kid that we would have a freaking moon base by now, and I want my damn moon base, damn it. I want my kids to think that there's, they could grow up in a world where they could go to the moon. At the moment, it's very disappointing for them. And I've got a teenager now. Hurry up. Oh yeah, moon mining will be a thing, but we won't be bringing it back to Earth. We'll be using it in situ. Oh, sorry. Yes. All the helium-3 stuff. Should I get a house in Pittsburgh? I don't know. What's it like in Pittsburgh? Sounds like the pits. I don't know anything about Pittsburgh. But should you get a house? Yes. Get a house. Yes. Buy a house. Doesn't matter what the market's doing. If you need a house, if everyone needs a house. Buy a house is never a bad thing. Okay? Buying a house to live in is you're never going to. The downside of that is extremely minimal. Extremely minimal. The upside, rest of your life upside. All right? Buy a house. Yes. We were also promised flying cars and endless freedom, but those things have never materialized either. Yeah, the endless freedom part. Yeah, don't get me started. Yes, a boom in space industry is what we want. Lots of launches, lots of people working in space on construction. Yep. Yep. I agree. Give the world something to believe in, you know? You missed out. What happened? It came a gutser. Starship came a gutser. The booster worked. Booster worked fantastically until they tried to land it and stress it. They deliberately tried to stress the booster and it failed. So, which is not unexpected. So basically, the booster worked 100%. The reused booster. Incredible. Stick some useful shit on top. And launch it. Pittsburgh used to be the steel capital of the world, was it? Right. I don't know. It's Pittsburgh is just a city in the US I never hear about. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? That could be a good thing. If it never makes the news down under, if it never makes it into my news feed, then that could be a good thing. Because usually when things make my news feed, when a US city makes my news feed, it's like, oh God, what the hell have California done again? What? What the hell's happening at Harvard University? What? What the hell's, happening in this city? Seattle? What the hell's happening, What the hell's, So, yeah, it's usually bad news. If your city's, what's happening in New York again? Yeah, if a city's making my news timeline down here in Australia, it's usually bad. No, they wouldn't, because if you have any clue, you'll realise diamonds are actually worthless. Go try to sell a diamond and you'll find out how much they're actually worth. There's a reason why they deliberately did the marketing campaign Diamonds Are Forever, because they didn't want you to sell them, because they didn't want you to realise how worthless diamonds are. Oh, yeah, the Pittsburgh Steelers football team. I've heard of them. Okay, yeah. I don't know, but what's it like now? Is there an Australian version of Florida Man? No, there is not. No. Every politician here comes out of the same bullshit cookie cutter, and they're all anti-freedom. They're all pro-mass immigration until it destroys us. They're all, no. I don't think we have a Florida Man. No. I don't think, don't really have anyone here. I don't know, Rennick, someone like that, maybe. But the idiot just came out and said that Bitcoin's a waste of time. It's like, what an idiot. Washington, D.C., isn't that a hellhole? Isn't that like got the highest crime rate in the country or something? I don't know, something like that. Oh, Pittsburgh's in Pennsylvania, is it? Okay. Don't even hear anything about Pittsburgh. Okay. I didn't even know Pittsburgh was in Pennsylvania. Maybe it's a good thing, you just want to stay out, nice quiet city to live in, raise your kids, I have no idea. Mrs. E Vlogs, Mrs. E Vlogs' dad is a jeweler. He's one of Australia's top jewelers, or was. He's kind of in semi-retirement now. he's moved out of his jeweler's office in the city. He was in the Queen Victoria building, and he was in the Dimix building. He had his workshop in there. He was, he's one of Australia's best jewelers. And, he's semi-retired, so now he's moved into his garage. So he still makes stuff he still does side jobs and stuff, but yeah, he's semi-retired basically. But yeah, he's a jeweler. So Mrs. Evie, she's not too keen on diamonds. she likes, you know, more exotic stones, things like that. There is no Australian Mar-a-Lago. Well, Australian Mar-a-Lago would be Kirribilli House in Sydney here. That's the Prime Minister's residence when they're in Sydney. Kirribilli House. I almost got arrested climbing over the walls of Kirribilli House a day after September 11. That's an interesting story. I'll just leave it there. I won't explain it. I'll just leave you to guess. Yeah, I don't know how he couldn't read the room on that. I don't know how he couldn't read the room. Unbelievable. He's generally with it on other things, and then he comes out and just said this the other day. I think I replied to him on X saying, what? You know, dumb or something. Any exciting news on the new Bryman meter? No, still working through. There's a data issue which I haven't been able to recreate. I found a few new bugs in the app and stuff, but no update and no exciting new news, I'm afraid. Oh, really? Billy Joel's song Allentown tells the tragic story of Pittsburgh Steelers. Ah, there you go. Steel plants. Interesting. Oh, yeah, we've got high-end beach resorts. I don't know if any of them have a golf course. Yeah, there's probably in Australia. I don't know. I'm not into golf. Don't know. Will I ever do a Dave talk on fibre optics? Don't think so. Doesn't really interest me, and don't know much, what there is to say about fibre optics, really. It's not something that you design. You know, you might build in a Toslink system with some multi-mode coax or something. It's like, you know, it's not something that you... No, it's not something that warrants a video, I don't think. Fibre optics. Anyway, yeah, I better get back to it. It's already 11 a.m. Damn. All right, thanks everyone for joining me. That was a success for the booster, so I'll give the booster a success. Booster gets a thumbs up again, even though they deliberately trashed it. Deliberately trashed the booster. Bastards. Should have landed it again. But I can understand why they're doing it. And Starship Kamigutsa again. What did I put? I put 65% confidence on Starship Kamigutsa. Ah, well... Anyway, back to it. I'll release my new video tomorrow, but I want to... what I'll probably do now, today, I think, maybe, I've had it for a while. I'll do a quick poll. I'll do a quick snap poll. Hang on. Boom. Do a quick snap poll. Better turn my speakers back on, or otherwise I'll forget. I was going to do... I've got this baby. It's probably the coolest thing I have in the lab. It's a Microtest 6632. It's not just an LCR meter, it's an impedance analyzer. Real high-end bit of kit. It's probably the most exciting bit of kit I've got in the lab. And I thought maybe I would do like an unboxing of it, but I don't know, it's probably a waste of time. So my snap poll is, like, who thinks an unboxing of it, like an unedited, just dump it, just record a live unboxing of it on the second channel is worth anyone's time? Or whether or not I should just open it, start playing with it, and then do a proper video. Who thinks yay or nay on just a live, not live, but an unedited unboxing video? Yay or nay? Give me a yay or nay. Should I even bother spending time on it? Go for it. We have 1. So we've got 2. Someone says play with it first. I'd watch either one. 1. Yay. 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 You'd watch? Really? I'm surprised there's this many yays. High end and sexy. Yeah, you'd watch it? Really? You would just watch an unedited unboxing video where it takes me 20 minutes to get it out of the box. And most, but you don't care. No. Ben finally says no. Sounds good. I'm surprised everyone likes it. Yay for first impressions. Well, my first impression is going to be drooling. It doesn't weigh anything, though. I'm surprised at the weight. And I also got bloody this. I'll show you what turned up on eBay. Hang on. Have to get the knife out of the way. Look at that. Ooh, shiny. Whoa. I've got all shit on it. Hang on. Hang on. Oh, bloody hell. Got too much crap going on here. Hang on. I don't want to do my back in. This thing. Got this on eBay. This thing weighs, I don't know, 25 kilos or something. It's a GW Instec APS 7050 power source, mains power source. So you can do like mains dip testing, transient testing, and stuff like that. Very cool bit of kit. Used on eBay, but it weighs a bloody ton. It's unbelievable. It's like it's ridiculous. Anyway. There you go. So I'll put that on the floor over here. I'll crush my fingers. But bloody hell, that thing's heavy. Super heavy. Ha! Get it? I'm here a week. Super heavy. So anyway, thanks everyone for joining me. So what was that? People wanted the unboxing, right? Hate unboxing. Open the effer and play with it. Yeah. People like having videos like that on in the background. Oh, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, yeah. I personally do that as well. You're not going to, yeah, no one's ever going to order one of these. It's just, they just emailed me completely out of the blue and they just said, hey, we like your videos. Do you want one of our impedance analyzers? No strings attached at all. You don't even have to make videos on it. Would you like one for the lab? Just to play with. Yeah? Okay. It's great. So the videos I can do with that. Holy crap. I'm thinking about, I could like analyze decoupling, circuits and things like that with it. Only up to 10 megahertz. This model is capable of 50 megahertz, but I believe they sent me the 10 megahertz one. So, yeah, but anything up to 10 megahertz, man, it's great. So, who doesn't like people struggling with styrofoam, bubble wrap, and bringing out the knife to slice through packaging tape? Yeah. Hate unboxings. So it looks like it's more than 50% of people wanted to see like just a unedited unboxing video. I just think it's low info density. It's an easy low info density video, and I kind of feel ashamed to do like an unboxing video. Still better than any Mr. Beast video. yeah, you can see the toroids on the bottom. Yeah, that thing weighs a ton. Man, it's unbelievable. And obviously I'll do a teardown of the impedance analyzer. It's very cool. In fact, I've got a whole bunch of stuff. I've got a new Uni-T power meter. Uni-T sent me a new power meter, which is pretty cool. They sent me a new power supply, which I just used in my recent video. my video, which will be released tomorrow, but I'll put the link in the comments somewhere. Yeah. Don't need unboxing, just first impressions. Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking about just a... Anyway, we'll see. Anyway, got to go. Thanks for joining me. Catch you next time.